Hello and welcome back to another episode of SuperCoach Insider. My name is Ben.
And I'm Chris.
And hopefully the SuperCoach gods have blessed you. Hashtag blessed.
They definitely blessed me this year, that's for sure.
Well, yes, 1-1. 1-1. Okay, Chris, we get it. But look, thank you very much for joining us. First things first, let's take a look at our socials.
Yep.
On Twitter, we are SC_insider_. Facebook.com/SC Insider.
And on Twitch, which you're currently watching us right now, we've got over 25 viewers in there currently. It's twitch.tv/SC_insider and on YouTube and all major podcast platforms as SuperCoach Insider.
Yes.
Easy.
So, quick disclosure for a couple of you that might have listened on the audio platforms. This guy may have done the editing. I was a bit busy with university, so he took care of it for the first time.
Yeah.
Good attempt, Chris. Good attempt.
If at first you don't succeed, just never try again.
Never try again. So, luckily, I'll be doing the editing after this anyway. So, we usually like to edit our audio to make it crisp.
Yep.
And like the crisp from Collingwood, we like to deliver in strong form. So
But sometimes we turn it over every now and then.
Okay, first things first, we are going sponsored with the Frothy today. On the Frothy. So
excellent.
Like the Furphy, apparently Matilda Bay Froth actually got recommended by one of the boys that we'll shout out in just a moment. 3, 2, 1.
Beautiful.
Oh,
there
mate,
we go.
let's give our first thoughts here, Chris.
Yes, evening, gents, to centre half couch. We've got custard chuckers there as well. Dusty has to go. Oh, well, let's calm down there, all right? We've got cricket 98. Finally get to listen to one live. Excellent, thanks, guys. So back night, evening, and a couple of cheeky notes on the palm. Yes, thank you very much, Jack Collings. So it's going to be a pretty busy night tonight. We've got a lot to cover.
Yes.
So we are going to do the round review. We're also going to have a look at, obviously, the Bubble Boys, trades, etc. Let's have a bit of a swizz. It's good.
It's actually quite nice, eh? Not going to lie. So recommended from one of the boys over at SuperCoach Strategies and Screenshots 2019. So if you aren't on there, feel free to do it. We can link it below, but that is it.
That's never going to work.
There it is.
Hey, there we go. Focus.
Wait for that focus to hit. Chris, just quickly, I know we're going to get straight into it. We're going to start with the Bubble Boys first. I ended up picking up a little something for us, and I was really stoked. It actually arrived on the weekend. And I thought, what better way than to...
Is it the $10 that you owe me for the bet that you lost on the weekend?
Oh, damn it. I do owe you a tenner. But hey, you said you were going to pay me for these beers anyway.
That's true.
Got a little package here for me. So, Chris, do you want to do the honours for me, please?
I don't, because I've got a feeling I know what this is.
No, you don't.
It feels very much like a... Oh, dude, the return address is on the back. Oh, no. Did you bring your speaker and everything? You didn't. Oh, my gosh. What is this?
The best of us.
Oh, my gosh.
And claim them.
This is old school. Oh, look, it's even signed.
But now we got them back again. Our
What
eagles
are you... Are you putting it on? Okay.
we're the eagles.
I'm upset. I'm sad.
West Coast Eagles. And we're here.
No, you didn't. Could you please stop that for a second?
We're the Eagles.
I'm going to have to...
West Coast Eagles.
I heard that on repeat. Like 8... You know how many times they played it after the grand final?
Oh, mate,
Too many.
Not enough.
Too many times.
Okay, so this is from Jamie Hall.
Shout out, Jamie.
Shout out, Jamie. So he was listening, waiting for this moment, I believe, Chris. I did promise him I would play the West Coast theme song. And I'm going to wear this every podcast for this year. Every single
It's got a
podcast.
signature on it too. Here's the signature. You see that? Oh yeah, Jamie, if you're out there, mate, shout us whose signature is that? This is thanks, Jay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I get for man. But I'm not going to lose the bet, and so we do have a bet. Sam Collins has to average 80, which is now a little bit ambitious. But he did a nice little 87 last week.
Yeah.
So he's coming back.
That'll be great after his 30. Okay, Chris, so let's go into these Bubble Boys, shall we? Let's go see. We're going to start off Bubble Boys. Who's important?
Yep.
Who do you need in your side? And who can you do without? So let's start off with the Bubble Boys.
I think there's probably 2 per line that you just absolutely must have. So starting the forward and working your way back, because I think the forward lines are the must-have ones.
Yes.
So Willem Drew, guaranteed if you don't have him, you've got to get him. And if you didn't start with him, you're probably not watching us anyway, so that's fine. Stop with the Eagles.
Okay,
and
serious business.
I do think you need Matt Parker, but I don't necessarily think you need to play him on field. If you've got the luxury to loophole him, I think that might be a good option. If you need to play someone on field as a second or third forward rookie, including I'd still play Setterfield ahead of him, and then I'd have him either on the pine or as that last F6 because there is just as much chance that he turns over a 39 or a 40 that he hits an 85 or 90. So
I'm with you, Chris. Ben Ashton was the one, by the way, that recommended the frothy. So thank you, Ben Ashton. He said, I'll recommend you the beer, but I won't shout you them. So look, 50-50 and nothing is quite like getting halfway in. So thank you, Ben. And he is also,
That's my favourite game. It's called Just the Tip.
Yeah, Just the Tip. Let's give it a try. Just the Tip. See how it feels. So he's also on the SuperCoach Strategies 2019 page. So get around him. All right, Chris. Well, bring it up. Let's open it up.
Chewbacca is Jamie. Oh, yes, of course you are.
What's the signature?
What's the signature? Here we go. Worth trading Boulder for Parker. If he doesn't get named, potentially. I would do it. If Bolt doesn't get named, I would definitely trade him to Parker.
Bolter's getting named. Don't worry.
Those are the two must-have forward rookies outside that you don't really need any.
No, I mean, Petrocelli, his little run down the sideline, he literally started 5 metres in front of the pack. By the time the ball hit the ground, he was 5 metres past the pack.
Yeah.
Absolute gypsy,
Lightning.
this kid. I'll tell you what.
But his scoring's erratic.
I actually think he will settle in better.
He's not a must-have.
I think he'll stay in their side. He's not a must-have.
He's got...
If you have him already, love
Willie
it life.
Rioli got re-injured.
Yes.
So he's going to be out for another 4 to 6.
Yes.
Which does show up quite a lot of job security for Petrocelli, which is really cool. So if you have him, don't trade him. But I don't think he's a must-have. I wouldn't go trading to Petrocelli if you didn't have him.
So what did you score this week, Chris?
We're gonna go skip. Can we go through the rookies first? And then...
No, we're meant to tell your scores. You said I did well this week, and then you didn't inform everybody of your score.
But now we're chopping. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
maybe you should fulfill your requirements to start the bloody podcast, Chris.
What did you score this week?
I scored 22.85. Would have been better, but I had Scott on field, and Nathaniel Fife decided to not do anything in the third quarter.
That was true. It was
literally
actually
he looked so
hilarious.
uninterested. He looked.
We'll go through Fife in the game review, but that was funny watching him because I was watching him with eagerness to see how much he couldn't score.
Literally, I don't know what's more upsetting. Rockcliffe absolutely having a piss poor second half when he was on like 88 or something or other, or 92 at halftime. Anyway, so he didn't need much. I even got cocky. I was like, Chris, he only needs like 58 in the second half, and then he got like 20 points in the second half.
He got tagged.
So I am ranked like 6,000, so I'm pretty happy with where I'm starting.
Look, you're in a better position than a lot of people, I'd say, as well. The thing is, if you've nailed your rookies early, there really hasn't been a lot of underperforming premiums either, so you don't really need to do any correction trades.
Correct.
I went pretty big this week with a 2-3-8-2. So yeah, I was happy, that's for sure. I improved my rank by what did I go from? I went up 45,000 places in a week to 4,000. No, where am I? 3,254 is my rank.
Oh, nice.
So I really did have a good week. But I mean, essentially, it was just I got the right rookies on field, and I actually kind of lucked out as well because I tried to loophole Callum Wilkie, and he got a 38, which meant I was forced to play Collins on field because I didn't really like Collins can get a 38.
Yeah.
Last week was a bit of an aberration. I anticipated him at least getting a 50, and it was the last quarter, and he's on like 45 going into the last quarter, and I'm like, oh well, at least I'm definitely one anyway. Like I've got 7 extra points here, and then he goes and has one of the greatest like SuperCoach quarters I think he's probably ever had.
I can't believe you had him on
fantastic.
field.
So yeah, that was good. And I had Parker on field, I had Constable on field, I had Butters and Walsh on field. So all of the guys that scored really well I had on field. The only one that I didn't, who had a 78, was Dersma.
Yes.
Who I have on my mid bench.
Okay, so I actually loopholed him.
Yeah.
And I kept Collins off the field.
Well, I have Clark on field, and he was on like 6 at half time, and I was like,
I know. Like he got gifted the goal by Hawkins.
That was great.
Great news. So
like I had a mixed week, but it was good. It was a good week, so I can't really complain there.
That's true.
Looking on to next week, and we'll go from there.
100%, I agree. Okay, so let's start with the defense line then. So
defensive rookies, who's your must
have? Must have. I think you would have to have Dersma.
Dersma is the one you must have.
I think Dersma you really need, and then after that, I think it's good if you have Setterfield, Scrimshaw. If you have Clark, I think. They're pretty good to haves. I don't say they'd be must-haves in. They look impressive enough.
Their price. If they were doing that at 117k,
but most people
have to be going.
Most people at least have one or a combination of those anyway.
Yeah.
I think Collins is a bit expensive to bring in at this point.
Yep.
Especially considering the inconsistency.
I'm the same with I've got Hoare in my pine, but I don't have Scrimshaw. So I'm not going to throw 50k on Hoare to go to Scrimshaw, especially when
Or
he's
like
probably going to
33K
play
or whatever.
this. Yeah, it's not going to. I'm not going to do that.
Well,
That's
Stephen
stupid.
May, I'm still waiting to see how long he's out for, so I think that does bode well for him.
Yep.
As well as Bolter, I actually expect Bolter to play, and Scott was injured, playing with after gastro.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of the Dr.
That's
Supercoach guys were saying
yeah.
they were expecting him to get dropped, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, they played him
I
after
don't know about
gastro,
that.
so
I think he still might get dropped, but it's not necessarily about him as well. So, look, it could just be an excuse for the coach to say, hey, sorry, you're just going to have a rest for a week and see how you go in the twos. But they've got Jed Anderson coming back and Paul Ahern.
yeah.
Now, I've heard a rumour, and someone out there can confirm it or deny it.
I heard the rumour too.
That it was more of a club suspension than anything, and that's why he wasn't named round 1 and 2.
For 2 rounds, yes.
Yeah.
I heard the same rumour. So.
Which would make a lot more sense to me, because I could not for the life of me. He's there.
You couldn't work it out.
No, because in the JLT, he was in form as well. He's not injured. He tore it up in the twos.
Yep.
Like, he's coming back. So someone's making weight. That's Simpkin, I think, is probably unfortunately on the outer. But having said that, second-year player versus a first-year player in Scott, what are they going to go with? I don't know. So hindsight says to me that I lucked out by not choosing Scott, because he might not even play this week.
And then he strings together 4 more games at an average of 80. And
then I'm screwed.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
And then he becomes a must.
But that's the risk you take. It's all a guessing game. Like, I think I've lucked out really well. I've got Petrocelli, Bolter, so I think Bolter will come back in. Petrocelli is not so bad.
Someone just said, where's the delete team button?
Yeah, well, I can completely... I'm just so happy I didn't start with Green and Hanley and everyone else I was looking at doing, so that would have been an absolute disaster.
True.
And all the premiums are absolutely firing, though. The top five premiums are smashing it at this point in time, so I'm really happy that I started 5 full premium.
Yeah, so am I. And I don't have to downgrade any of them in the second week.
But I do know some of you have some issues. Dustin Martin and Zach Merritt are alike. I've seen a few messages peep through, and people aren't happy, Chris.
Yeah, and Heaney's the other one, really.
And Rockcliffe keeps going up in ownership, which is now starting...
We will talk about them all.
Starting to do my head in.
Okay. Well, why don't we get into the round analysis?
Let's do it.
Let's do that.
Quickly, do we touch on the midfielders that we need to have? Constable must have if you don't have him already.
Yeah, so Constable absolute must have. Butters, I think, is pretty much a must have at this point. However, because of his price, if you need to trade up to go to him, and then that means you need to go down from someone else, I would just stay away.
Yeah, I'm with you. And people even are moving on Sam Walsh to try and get in like a Rockcliffe or someone. But even now, yes, sure, Walsh hasn't set the world on fire, but he's still set to go up. I think it's about 90,000 in the next 2 weeks. Like,
Walsh is about 30 seconds away from hitting a ton again. Honestly, he's had
close.
24 and 25 disposals the last 2 weeks. He actually looks like he's on fire. He's just disposal, unfortunately, has been turning into clangers.
Yeah.
And you got, if he kicked that goal, that he got a free kick directly in front, 20 metres out. And I don't know who the teammate, oh no, it was Paulson. Who, by the way, how is he still in an AFL list? Like... He stole about 12 Supercoach points from everyone.
He takes a free kick and then snaps it around the corner with a dribble and shanks the goal. And you see how dirty he was? He hasn't kicked a goal yet. He was filthy.
I would have been ropeable. I would have been ropeable, mate. I wouldn't do that in 16s, mate. You wouldn't do that in 16s.
Oh, jeez. You'd get floored if you did that in the 16s. You'd be picking up balls for weeks.
All right, now before we do get into, quick shout out. Oh, dude, that's a Chris Judd signature.
Oh, sick.
Dude, he's got Juddy on there.
Mate.
Thank you very much, James. That's awesome. That's our third donation of the year. So one from Jamie Hall. We've got the mugs from
yes.
Stonesy and Carl. And we've got Jay in here as well, who donated some sweet cash money. So thanks very much, guys.
Get used to seeing this one, boys. I'll tell you
Fills it out all right, don't you? Yeah, I like it. Works well. Good sizing.
But if I fill it out like Juddy, I just do my 10,000 steps of walking, and that's about it.
Fair enough. So thoughts on Keisty9 says thoughts on drafting 2 bench ruckmen in a draft league and then being too stubborn to draft. That's Jordan Keys. I love it. Fair call. Look, keep on to him because someone's going to go down soon. It's a ruckman. It's going to happen eventually, Keisty. Struder, who are they? Here we go.
Just quickly, for those in draft leagues, I've heard of some monstrous trades. People getting rid of Rockcliffe and getting a Caniglio. So if anyone in the Dr. Supercoach podcast league would like to buy Rockcliffe at an expensive price, that'd be great.
The Slack League.
Slack League, yes.
Yeah. Ben's in our Slack League, guys, so feel free to jump on. Ice Truck Killer says, I fell for Mills, more mid-time garbage. Yeah, and you and a lot of people, mate. So
There's very few people.
How do you fit into my structure? I would have had him too.
Very quickly off the bat, let's just knock this one out of the park straight away. There's a handful of people that I would actually dump straight away for premiums or those mid prices. McGrath and Mills out there, catch you later. They're not top 6 to 10. See you later. I know a lot of people and I think realistically, Mundy is probably one of the only other ones that I would say you have to get. I would at this point. He got a 35.
I know,
his time on ground is horrible, Chris.
But why is his time on ground horrible?
I don't know. He's playing midfield only. He's coming on and off.
I agree with you. I would trade him too.
I'd get rid of him.
He's just as likely next week to come in and just go bang.
He's in such a small percent of sides
Yeah,
that you're the only one hurting.
He's
Right?
hurting
You're
you.
the only one hurting,
Yeah.
and he's still an expensive price. So realistically, you'd say Mills,
McGrath,
Mundy. If you have any of the Hanley combinations or whatever, just get rid of that as
Hanleys,
well.
yep.
In the midfield, there's not really many.
There's not must get rid of.
You don't have to get rid of Dusty. You don't have to get rid of Merritt.
I mean,
They're a preference, but you don't have to. So
No.
realistically, for me, it's only the three guys that if you have them, catch you later, sayonara. You need
and
to
maybe
get rid of.
Goldie.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's
he looks so good in
It's
JLT.
tough.
That's like the biggest JLT trap so far, I think,
well
because
at least
Sheed and Rocky have followed through on their preseason form.
We'll go through this in the North Pod.
Goldie
but
looked
during the
good.
game. He was just not racking up the disposals like he normally does.
No.
Now, could that be that they've just got more ball winners and therefore he's not getting?
I got a theory.
Yeah.
I think the gold rush has ended, and now he's just hanging around picking up fucking rocks.
Fair enough.
That's the Goldie theory. So
All right,
let's move in.
So we've got a lot of people on Twitch here that want to get a shout out, so that's cool. Considering how well Setterfield did with tagging role, do you think he'll do this more regularly? And therefore, we'll cover that in the Carlton pod.
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, that's the pain in the ass.
Ben talked up Hanley way too much on Facebook.
I did.
It's his fault.
It was wishful thinking.
So his fault.
He's so cheap. I didn't start him, but I wanted to, and I'm so glad I did not.
So my bad for tuning in late. No, don't worry about that, Miffy. Who do you think will average more, Newman or Warple? Warple, I think, will probably average about 87, 88. Newman about 85.
Ooh, I actually think Newman could push 89 and Warple's still around 88.
Oh, well, I mean, look, it's coin flip. Like, they're that close.
And either way,
who's the better value? They're both the same price-ish, aren't they?
I don't want either of them.
Nah. I'm not.
I get it, their value, but, you know, like...
If you started with them, great. Fits your team structure, but I wouldn't be trading to them. That's probably not a great idea. Billing's gone. Nah, probably not. He's averaged 84. He's getting a lot of disposals. He's just not really getting the points for them.
But he's
a
averaging
lot of
80,
outside.
he's averaging 84 and 2 wins.
Yeah, but, I mean, his role's there.
But he's 440k or something like that. Who are you going to bring in for that money? You can't really bring in anyone anyway.
It's more the game style that St Kilda are playing rather than Billings himself. I think he's getting enough numbers. It's just a lot of uncontested ball because he's playing more like pure wing, going up and down the flanks. So, do I think he's going to be top 6 to 10? Probably
anymore.
not.
I was big on him possibly being top 10, and then I changed my mind.
He can still average low 90s.
He could.
And that might be top 10, but I mean, what's the worst that could happen with a...
Yeah.
You could keep him to the buys and then trade him to someone who is top 10.
If I started Billings, I would have been expecting him to average 100 over the first 3.
Yeah.
And it hasn't quite happened. So, it's up to you. I think you have bigger issues, to be fair.
Thoughts on trading Ridley to Rosie? 100% do it. If he's not in there 22 right now, he's never going to be unless there's an injury, which means his job security is not there.
Rosie's actually impressive.
Rid of him. Yes, Rosie is very impressive.
He is. I was a bit surprised, to be honest, Chris.
And he said Wilkie as well. I'll talk about Wilkie during St Kilda, but he rucked a lot, and I hated it because when he rucked, he did not get any points. So I don't like that choice.
That's a lie. He got negative points every time that someone sharked his hit out.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, he didn't have any hit outs. They didn't register a single hit out to him, which was stupid because I physically saw him get hit outs.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe we're watching two different people.
Horrible, Chris.
Considering Heaney and Collins to 2 of Rocky, Newman and Warple, don't talk to me.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm kidding, Miffy.
Miffy, I'm sitting there looking at it going, what a mess.
All right, there's quite a lot of questions here. Well, let's go through them a little bit later. Let's get straight into the round review because we can get a bit sidetracked.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit hectic. So, I'll tell you what. We all came here for the game reviews. Let's get into some game reviews, Chris. And let's let you talk about Collingwood. Because I know you bloody want to.
Was that the first one? Was that Thursday night?
It was, and I tipped Collingwood by 10, and they won by a lot more. So
I don't even know what I think I
You
might
tipped
have done
Collingwood.
12 or something. Yeah, I had a really good tipping week. I actually went 8 of 9 this week. 8 of 9. You want to see that?
No, I don't want to
And
see
the
that.
9 was the Gold Coast beating Freo.
Yeah. You would have been upset because you probably thought you were going on for a hot streak and then it didn't happen.
No, well, I thought, they weren't winning until the last 5 minutes of the game,
No.
so I thought for 100%.
And we're not doing bonus points anyway, Chris.
No,
so it doesn't
exactly.
really matter
But,
at all.
yeah. Whatever. No, the first game was... Oh, no, that's last week. Sorry. Hold on, let's get
Oh my
this game
God.
ready up. Sorry, guys. There we go.
Bring it up, mate.
Richmond.
Bring it up.
And we're going to start this time. And now, for people in the chat and people at home, we have adjusted the sound of the siren, so we do apologise.
It better be good, otherwise I'm going to have to edit this
It's
audio.
just a lot lower now. Now, let us know. Give us some feedback when the first one does go off so that we know and to adjust it. We do really apologise for the sound last week, but we're going to get into the round review. We're starting the timer, and let's go with the first one is obviously Collingwood Richmond.
Yes.
So,
I actually think this tastes like Furphy, to be honest.
in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look,
In a cheaper way.
the first thing I noticed about Collingwood was that they basically mimicked a Hawthorn-style game plan from 2 years ago, where
Yeah.
they just chipped around the back line until they found an outlet. Once they found an outlet, quick handball inside 50.
And I think also a little bit mimicking West Coast, who the holding possession, because if the option wasn't there, they maintained possession.
Yeah.
And the benefit of this thing, and the best thing, and I don't even like Collingwood, but the best thing that I took out of this, they're actually hitting their targets.
Yeah,
In
a lot.
JLT 1 and 2 and
Yeah.
round 1, they butchered it so bad that they call themselves Elliot Yo.
Pretty much.
He is the new butcher. Have you seen
I have
Elliot
seen the
Yo?
stats,
He is the butcher.
The worst part about that, the best part about that is, oh my God, they're hitting targets in round 2. That traditionally, takes teams a while to get into the habit of they're hitting their targets like this. So I'm really impressed that they've been able to do that. But I tell you what, you'd be happy if you own, say, a Jack Crisp or a Jeremy Howe or a Darcy Moore or
Anyone in defence.
Jordan Roughhead last week had
Yeah.
like 63 at half time, took 13 marks for the game, including 7 intercept marks.
Yep.
So if you own a defender that is, and like even you got Langdon, every single one of those
Yeah,
guys.
Langdon got like 88. Everyone else went monster though. Yeah.
So look, Jordan Roughhead had
Huge.
112. Jack Crisp had 123.
Yeah. Monster Maine.
Jeremy Howe had a 99.
Can I quickly retract my statement on how crap Maine is? Because he has been, since he came back into the side
10
last
weeks
year.
of amazingness. Yeah.
Since he came back in last year, I have nothing but to say. But the resolve to actually work yourself back into the team and actually contribute.
Yeah.
Because he must have been going through all sorts of mental demons when everyone ripped on him for the
plays
price
a
that he was
great,
paid.
I like to call it the Tarkin Lockyer role. He plays like that real good link role that's out of half back towards, switching the play either or just running carry down the wing and a short 20 metre, 30 metre kicks. And he's doing it really well. Kicked a really great goal. Darcy Moore with a 93. So just the entire back line. Even had Levi Greenwood had 86 in a tagging role.
Yeah.
When he played basically fullback on Dustin Martin for half the game.
And why are people surprised that Dusty had a bad game? Like Greenwood has been his bunny forever.
Have a look at the tagging job he did on Dusty in the preliminary final last year.
Yeah, and to be fair, Dane Zorko would have actually had the same bad score, except that Hutchings?
Mark Hutchings, yep.
Went to Lockie Neal after half time and then actually stopped him because he was on like 88.
Yeah,
he was on
killing
track
it.
for a 160 plus.
Yeah, and then went 127.
And then went 127.
Yeah.
So he negated Neal, but look what happened. Zorko went off and went on a big roll.
So that's a big tip for anyone playing West Coast. Hutchings
Which is Collingwood this
and
week.
I honestly believe now with the 666, tagging's back in vogue. It's huge.
Yeah, because you're trying to negate that
center. Yeah,
Yep.
you've got to negate that best midfielder because they're playing. The best mids are getting played in and around the centre bounces. And so they're getting tagged.
I am with you. I think it's taken teams a little while longer to see how damaging people are. But even Bose went and stood with Fife for a bit, and Fife just went, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm kind of killing it. We're winning, and we'll just sit there." But I think you are 100% correct. Where the guys that can get tagged, that have the most impact, particularly with those centre bounces, I think they're going to shut that down a lot more than they have previously.
I agree.
And Caniglio took he probably hasn't had to deal with the tag much with Shield being in the side and Kelly being out. But
and that's unfortunate. Just
do you know what the funny part is? Is that people I've heard saying this week say, "Oh no, but it's okay that Kelly will be back and he'll get the tag," and I'm like, Kelly's pretty silky inside and out.
He's untaggable in my opinion. But let's talk about GWS and the GWS.
That's fair, Chris. That is very, very fair. But if you show any weakness to a tag, you're gonna get like penetrated so hard, like so hard,
like Zorko did for the first
like
7
Zorko
rounds
did,
last
and
year.
I actually worry a little bit. Anyway,
Who knows?
100% correct, Chris.
On the Richmond side of things, they just could not get enough ball.
I always thought it was you sidetracking.
Yeah.
I just realised.
Thank you very much.
That's me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to keep it on the straight and narrow. You did it again.
I did. But Chris, it's a bit ironic for you to keep it on the straight and narrow when you kind of bend to the right.
It's always short swivel and always to the left.
Fair call.
So anyway, so Richmond just couldn't get the ball, which is why they had virtually no Supercoach score. Jaden Short was the highest scoring person on 91. Brandon Ellis comes back for an 89. He cost them so many points. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets dropped this week. He played terrible.
No,
Yeah.
they can't drop him.
He
They
turned
got, no
over-
one, they got no one on.
That's the issue, isn't it?
For the first time in like 10 years, they don't
No,
have
can I
Rance
just
and
say-
Rewalt, one of those,
Look,
playing in the game.
Now, I don't hate Richmond, but they had a dream run of injuries for basically 24 months.
Yeah.
They got all of their top lines basically never got injured. They were the least team that had no injuries for like 2 years running. So they finally get some injuries and now it's all up in the air. Like, oh my God, like what are we going to do? Well, I don't know.
No, I think
do what
that-
every other team does. Like Collingwood last year who had like 50 injuries or
Don't-
GWS who had like 50
Don't
injuries.
bring up Collingwood
Just
in
saying.
this. My God, it's like a cat that hits the ground. It'll find its feet.
Yeah, sure.
No, I actually think, and I think the thing that benefits Richmond quickly is that they do have a dream run as far as their draw is like 13th hardest.
Yep.
So that is on their favour. I still think they do quite well. I think they will have to reinvigor their strategies a little bit, but it'll take them a couple of weeks. They'll have to lick their wounds.
Yep. So Jack Rewalt, obviously he did his and he's got a
Wrist closer to the thumb, one of the bones in here.
It's a displaced fracture. I don't know what that means. I'm not a
And a bit of
professional.
ligament damage, so maybe a month.
But he also, while he did that, he did a strain of his. I think he had hyperextended or did a strain of his hamstring or something like that. So regardless, he's not going to be able to run, and he's got a wrist injury. So he's probably going to be 5 to 6 weeks rather than 4 weeks as the predicted average, because he's not going to be able to actually have fitness. Now that's going to be on the Tigers medical staff as to whether or not he goes back and starts playing after 4 weeks of literally no running. So I don't know how they're going to do that or what they're going to do. But it'll be interesting. What it does do is I think that they will probably bring in someone, either Callum Moore, who's in the twos, who's never really shone at AFL level. Bolter, I think, definitely comes in. However,
Yep.
Bolter
I'm
was
not sure whether he's playing forward or defence, though.
Bolter was playing defence, and Grimes is out for a week as well with suspension. He
I
elbowed.
think he'll be defence this week, and then maybe forward.
Well, it depends. And so Bolter apparently absolutely killed them in the twos. So what are you doing?
I'm trying to see how long we have left because I stuffed up, Chris. So let's just
We've
just see how we're
We've
going.
got 3 minutes on this.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Grundy though, can we talk about Grundy quickly?
We can.
I actually look forward to Grundy this week against a very weak West Coast ruck. I think he will really
Weak?
dominate. Yeah, West Coast,
Tom Hickey.
mate.
Tom, Tom Hickey had 139 last week and dominated in the ruck against Dawson Simpson.
Yeah, Dawson Simpson. Hello, weak ruck.
Tom Hickey's got a history of being a pretty good ruck. Like he can, on his day, he can.
get around, but he's not someone that's going to get the most hit outs in the world, Chris. He's more of the poor man's
I don't
Grundy
know.
getting some cheap
Like-
ball on the floor.
Oh, he's definitely no Grundy, but his tap work's pretty good, and he looked
Crazy.
like he fits into the West Coast system really good. So
Actually, quite happy with Treloar, Chris. He only played 73% time on ground.
yep,
And he still had 39 disposals.
he's in Hulk mode, bro.
Mate, he is, and...
Dude, he was everywhere.
And he had 80% disposal.
Yep.
Or better. So, no, like, a couple of clangers, not many, went absolutely ham. What did he score, like 135?
Yep.
Something like that? 135. Went absolutely monster. I actually think he's a pretty good option.
However,
He's the guy.
news
in the
today
midfield.
that just came through a couple of hours ago. Taylor Adams is going to be lining up this week.
It's okay.
It's just going to be based on tomorrow's training session because they want to know if his ball work is going to be all right because obviously it's a finger injury.
His
But he's
ball
been running obviously while he's been
Chris,
off.
I can tell you, his ball work's great.
Do you know from personal experience?
That's why I kind of winked at the camera. Hey, you may have missed that.
All right, well, let's go back to the chat quickly before we this countdown. We've got a minute and 40 to go through these Twitch questions here.
Oh, can I quickly also say
Sure.
that DeGoey got robbed? Absolutely dominated and only scored like 80. So
Well, there was a lot of people that scored a little bit less than they usually would just based on
that they got so many balls.
points.
Yeah.
There
They
was
got so many
much
disposals
points, yeah.
that when he kicks a goal, it's like, oh, but someone else had 4
I made a
disposals
comment,
before you kicked a goal.
I made a comment
That's
to
still
a
harsh,
group
though.
that I'm a part of.
That's
that
still harsh.
There was 5 people in Collingwood that scored over 120, and the bloke that scored 5 goals wasn't one of them. Isn't that insane? Has that ever... I'd love to know. Maybe we should ask the Swamp Thing on Twitter. if that's ever happened. 5 scores over
That's
120.
so bad, though.
And the main goal kicker
5
wasn't part
goals
of it.
being the main reason that they actually dominated so hard.
He was always going to, though. He ragdolled Rance last year.
Well, he is now way better than Petrarca, I can tell you that. Petrarca's getting so
Jesus.
much heat. All right, Chris, let's check out the chats.
All right, here we've got... thank you very much for round 2.
Oh, man, I've already done round 2.
We've got JR Stiff. What's going on, fellas? How about them mighty Sainers? Mate, up the Sainers. I tipped the Sainers this week.
I'm happy for the
Well
Saints.
done, the Sainers. I look forward to our Saints review. It'll be good.
I can't believe you tip Saints.
Oh, we've got a live Twitch subscriber here. Let's have a look here.
Almost didn't hear it.
Thank you very much, whoever just
We've
subscribed
actually
to
had
us.
a bit of love this week.
We
Chris.
did, and thank you to everyone who's just subscribed today. So we had
Heaps.
we just had Prendy follow us. We had Perko 1024, Trobe 16, Struder, In Harm's Way, and Dave 4444 215. All
Fucking
came
Dave.
through.
Fucking Dave. Thank
Yeah.
you very much for the followers.
Thank you very much, guys. That it really means a lot that you guys care enough to give us a follow.
And you know what I love? That the fact that these Twitch followers keep going up every week. So not only do we had like 1,000 listens in less than 24 hours last week, but the fact that quite a handful of you tune in live makes our day. 100%.
We're actually up to 41 live viewers now, which is pretty
Tell
cool.
you what, Chris, while you're cracking your second, I might crack my third.
Mate, it's not a race, mate. If it was, I would win.
Mate, they call me they call me the funnel because as soon as it goes in, it's done.
We had another. Oh, so Miffy's never actually followed us. Miffy, come on, bro. That was Miffy just following us. Thanks, bro. Thanks very much.
Bit late to the party, Miff.
All right. So Swizzy says, is Heaney this year's Billings might come good after the bye?
No, because Billings has never averaged near 100 a couple times, let alone once. So, yeah.
Should we just stop and talk about Billings so that we can get it off the table?
Do you want to get it off your chest,
I
Chris?
do.
You
I
want
feel
to
like
get it
we
off
need
your
to.
chest? All right. Well, look, let me just clear out the next half an hour
All right.
off my schedule.
So here's the thing with Heaney. I understand that the reason why people chose him is because of two things. First of all, if he plays the same role last year and he averages the same, you're happy, which is 97. He's still, the third or fourth best forward. No one really can complain about that.
Yep.
The second part is...
The fake promises.
The promises of midfield time.
Playing in the midfield.
However, I'm actually quite confident that that's coming. Now, what does he average if he plays full-time midfield? Seriously.
Oh, no, I was just getting a bit confused when you said that's coming.
Usually we're on a different wavelength.
I was. I got distracted.
Like seriously, what do you think actually happens if he plays? Like, what is his average if he plays full time mid?
105 plus easy.
Okay, so let's say you've already taken those 2 bad scores. You already have Heaney in your team. You can't get rid of those 2 bad scores.
Yep.
Yeah, well, one of them's 85, which is not that bad anyway. But you can't get rid of him. So let's say it's another 2 weeks until he starts averaging 105, which means from here on out he averages 100 for the year. Right? Would you say that's a fair assumption?
I think that's a fair assumption. Doing your maths, yeah, maybe.
That's pretty. Now,
Yeah, maybe.
is there another forward that you already have in your team that's going to average 100?
No.
Well, then why are you trading
Dangerfield,
him?
that's it.
Exactly. What?
Yeah.
You're
No, I'm
trading
with you.
him,
I'm
and
with
you're
you.
he's still going to be a top 6 to 10 forward.
I'm with you.
it's-
Well, for me, it's... And not only that, he was in like over 50% of sides. Now he's in 40% of sides because 12% have jumped off.
Yeah.
He's in that many sides that he's actually not going to hurt you if he has a bad score.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And if you get rid of him and he starts
Which
dominating...
is this week. Like this
then
week I
you're
was
going,
top 400.
Then you're going to bring him back in
Yeah.
anyway.
I was top
So-
400 this week, and I had Heaney on field for 67. Like,
and
no
I've
one
heard
cares.
a few people raging. Oh no, but that's okay because I'll just get somebody else. Like I'll bring in Tim Kelly instead of Heaney. Fair enough. Tim Kelly started well. His role is good, which I want to bring him in also, but I'll bring him in at a later date. But if you're they're like, oh, yeah, but I'll bring in other people. So if you don't see Heaney in the top 6, then yeah, that makes sense. If you're not going to trade him back in, then it makes sense that you
agree.
might actually get rid of him
If
now.
you're confident that it's the Billings of last year, then
Then
go
get
for
rid
it.
of him. Yeah,
But
100%.
completely different. Billings didn't have the role. He has the role. Because
He's the love shot.
And even if he doesn't have the role,
and
he
he had a
still
good-
can average the same.
And he had an amazing preseason.
Yeah.
He had an absolute
It's a non-factor for me.
off-tits preseason.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he tweaks his ankle. Of course, he's not going to be great for a couple of weeks, but you live with it, and then you wait. And half the teams actually owned him, and we're still in the top 5,000-ish. So it's not hurting you. So
Yeah.
I don't see the reason that
The
you
other thing
have
about,
to actually
let's
get rid
say
of him.
Tim Kelly, or let's say Travis Boak, or whoever you trade him to, You can't get those scores again. So you can't get his scores.
We learned that from people trading in Curvis, people trading in Westhoff. People now, I think it's about, again, another 4% have actually traded in Lysette
100%.
after his 160.
So, what do they average from this round forward? Not from the start of the year forward. What do they average from now? What's their average going to be from, what is it? There's round 3 to round 22. That's what you need to focus on. So, it sort of reduces your sample size. But what you've got to realise is Heaney's bad scores come out of that. So you don't count that in your decision-making process when you're actually making a judgment on whether or not to trade him. So just be careful.
Because he's already had the 2, so you're working at his average from now.
Yeah.
And just quietly, when you look at that Geelong midfield now, Selwood's out, right? He's out in the wing. Dangerfield's in the guts. Duncan is just elite everywhere, so you don't really even tag Duncan because even though he's a great user, he's sort of on the outside and he floats around.
We got another follower here.
So,
as well.
But here's the thing, though, Chris. When you look at their main setup now, Dangerfield guts, Kelly guts, Constable guts. They're the main 3 at this point. Dangerfield you can't tag. Kelly has been damaging.
Kelly got tagged in the second quarter last week.
Kelly has been damaging.
Kelly got tagged.
Yeah.
So
and they've had 2 wins, and he's averaging 110 maybe. Like he's scored just over 100 both games when he's dominated pretty well. I actually think it's a matter of time before they actually try and shut him down.
He's 46. He's coming very soon.
Yeah.
I'm not don't get me wrong.
I love Kelly. I think he's very impressive.
I like Kelly, and he would have been one of. I probably would have gone Menegola over him if I had cash, and he fit my bar structure, but he doesn't. I don't hate the Helly to Keeney trade. Heaney to Kelly trade. I don't hate it, but I personally believe it's burning a trade. So don't get me wrong. I think they're like for like. You're not going to lose by going to Kelly, in my opinion. However, you're burning a trade, and this game of SuperCoach is all about trades. That's all it is about. It's about cash and trades.
Yep.
So the more trades you have and the more cash you can make, the better off you'll be at the end of the year.
I know. And here's the funny thing. Quick segue. Not segue, but this guy was saying, oh, yeah, but you got 30 trades. You got plenty of trades. I looked at my team. I've got 4 in defence, 3 in the midfield, 3 in the forward line that I want to trade. Yep. 1 down, 1 up. That's 20 trades.
That's 20 at least.
20 gone.
And
so
if
10
you don't
trades,
have 600k plus midfielders, it might be 2 trades to get up to 1.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. So you're at least looking at 10 possible injury, luxury, whatever trades, which could end up being less. It's not a 30 trade game. It's more like a 10 trade game.
Yeah.
So you need to look at the perspective from that, because unless you want a rookie playing on your field all year, don't trade out your premiums.
Great point. Very much. So we're not going to touch on Heaney anymore?
No more. No more Heaney. Any more questions, you can email it through to us at supercoachinsider@gmail.com.
However, we might touch him in a little bit.
He's got blonde hair. I'll touch him.
All right. Now let's move on to round 2, and then we've got obviously a lot more chat. I know that there's people that are lining up questions, and we do thank you very much.
I have seen the Tom Stewart one, which I will cover in Geelong, so we will get to that one.
For question purposes and for podcast purposes, we need to keep moving on.
Correct. And if you ask about Callum Mills, you can go back to the first 5 minutes.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Now let me quickly. What Callum Mills?
Someone did ask about Callum Mills. What should we do with Callum Mills? And I was like, we nailed that on the head in the start of the game. So
yes, we did. But we're about to get into the Sydney versus Adelaide game.
Correct. And I think Heaney will score better when they win games, just quietly. Which they didn't do this game. Adelaide looked very impressive. And I watched a lot of the games, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday I was coaching football, so I missed out on the Lions game, which was unfortunate. Mm-hmm. But no, very, very impressed with this game. I thought Adelaide absolutely dominated Sydney big time. So Sydney did fight their way back quite well. Brad Crouch started on fire. Matt Crouch started horribly, which absolutely tormented so many coaches, including this guy.
Yep.
Right here. And then in the last quarter...
because I couldn't watch the game. I don't know where I was, but I wasn't watching the game live.
Broncos? No.
Maybe.
Might have been Friday. Brad Crouch absolutely went ham, just went big time, and was looking for he was actually on track for a big 120, 130 plus easy. And then in the last quarter, Matty Crouch stood up and just went absolutely massive and ended up with 96. Considering he was so low for 2.5 quarters, it was absolutely baffling to me. So yeah, because I actually had him in captain in a draft, so he was absolutely doing completely horrible. One thing I will say is Adelaide seemed to have their structures a lot better in this game. They looked much better. Tex Walker actually looks fit and firing compared to 12 months ago. I think that he does so much for their team as far as structure and actually getting their ball forward. So
Fair enough. Interesting that so I heard that Crouch got locked down in the last quarter. It actually was travelling really, really well until he just got locked down. And looking at their scores, it's really strange the way that it all lines up. You got Wayne Miller as the top scorer at 105, so it's like a raffle to see which halfback gets the biggest score.
So many of the Adelaide guys just even spread. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, a little bit
Miller.
like the Collingwood halfbacks right now, aren't they? So you've got obviously Brodie Smith, you've got Wayne Miller, you've got Rory Laird.
Yeah.
Any one of them can go big on any day. And
But they had an even spread, so they all
Yeah.
scored around 100 or 9. You know, what was that?
So Miller went 105, Brodie Smith went
Sloane 105. Okay.
and
Brad Crouch, Brodie Smith
97.
And Laird actually had an 89. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So Laird now
Even
I think
spread.
is averaging what 95, 96-ish.
Yeah, he hit 100 flat, I think.
Yeah. I
And now
wonder
an
what his
89.
break even is. Let's have a quick squiz at his
Right,
break
you keep
even.
going. I'll have a. Are you clicking on him?
I think you can.
If you
Yeah,
click,
can.
if
Let's
you
have a look.
click, Chris, you will find.
Yes, so his break even right now
150.
is 150. So he's definitely going to drop cash next week. And not that matters. Again, you pick a Rory Laird because you want him for the whole season. However, for people like us who didn't start him, you didn't start him, did you?
No, I went.
Whitfield?
No, hell no.
Oh, okay, cool.
Lloyd.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, Lloyd. So I'm very happy. I
Yeah.
was considering going because I was like, oh, Lloyd, they have a hard draw to start with. But
And look, Jakey
glad I
Lloyd
went.
with a 124.
He's
Come
so,
on, man.
So under talked about.
By the way, I looked
So
into
under
this.
talked about.
7 of the top 10 defenders scoring right now are all taking kickouts. So it's like, okay. So the whole
Okay.
kickouts aren't going to really affect the scoring. 100% they are.
Tom Stewart in that?
Yep.
Jesus.
And so the only other one the ones that aren't are Whitfield.
Yeah.
I have to have a look at the other two, but you can bring them up later. But yeah, 7 of the top 10 defenders.
I can tell you it's not Simpson.
definitely. But you've got both. So Jared Harbrow's in there right now, and you've got
Right.
Yeah, he had a couple of big weeks, which is great for my draft team.
Yeah, well, I got Stewart in my draft team, so...
Yeah, Jay McMillan's had some great scoring as well.
Correct.
You know, so
How about you focus?
I'm just saying that
Just focus.
our preseason talk was right on the money. Joey Kennedy, obviously, with the 136 was really nice. Luke Parker
Yeah.
with a 109.
Yeah, he actually looks really good.
Yeah,
He looks better than any of the other Sydney midfielders, even though I think Parker has the most upside
Well,
with his age.
So there's two things that I heard, and a little contradictory, but Parker because obviously Heaney's playing more forward and they played Mills back, and the whole reason they played Mills back apparently was because Grundy was out,
Grundy's out.
and they want to play him more midfield, but they couldn't, and Heaney's out because of injury. So who knows what the actual story is? It looked honest. Like I watched the press conference, and
Yeah.
like from start to finish, it looked
No,
honest.
it was surprisingly honest, unlike some of the other ones where, North. Oh, yeah, by the way, after it comes out, Scott had...
Like, who
a
even
bug.
are you? Are you?
Or Zach
coach
Merritt.
Geelong?
Or Zach Merritt. When Zach Merritt had a really bad first round, everyone's like, oh, yeah, but he was, sick as well.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway,
Maybe that's a new thing.
So Luke Parker obviously had a lot of CBAs, and so did Tom Papley.
Yes.
Papley played a lot in there, but he had a lot of turnovers as well because he
Correct.
only scored 63.
I think they actually wanted Heaney to go in there. So at some point, I saw Heaney and Papley go into the midfield, and it changed the dynamic where they actually had a bit more run and they started to actually win some of the ball.
Yeah.
But then what happened was Heaney, with his ankle, probably couldn't spend too much time in there, so they pushed him forward and they kept Papley
Yeah.
in that mix,
Is it-
even though they
so,
probably didn't want him in the mix
What
as much.
I'd like to know to make it absolutely firm, and I'm not trading him anyway, but what is the injury? So they say it's an ankle injury, but what injury
What
is
does
it?
that mean? A sprain or a...
Is it a bruised ankle? Is it
Well, and apparently he also pulled up
is it
sore.
a busted Achilles?
Well, apparently he pulled up sore from the game, which does not sit well for me either.
No, and he's
So-
not training either.
No.
But I mean, he'll train later in the week, but he'll be right to go apparently. But yeah,
That sounds so dodgy to me.
but again, I don't care. For the next 2 weeks, he'll probably play, and he'll play through a little bit of pain,
yeah.
and
he's
after that, he'll be fine.
And to be fair, he's playing Carlton. He could probably get 100 without doing much. So
Pretty much.
hopefully. Sorry, Carlton fans.
Anyway, look, I think overall though, what's impressive is I tipped Adelaide in Sydney. Now I have Sydney massively slipping out of the 8 this year.
I think I had them at 9th or 10th. So, but now
Which is
I wish.
strange.
I wish I put them about 12th or 13th.
I've got him in 13th spot.
Yeah.
Right in front of Hawthorn. So I'm
Yeah.
tipping Hawthorn to drop as well. So.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means for Heaney because I know that he averages a lot more in wins than losses. However, if you that's because he's a forward.
Yeah.
So as a forward, you rely on the ball coming to you a lot, in which case the ball needs to be in your forward line for you to score well. Whereas if you if he does transition to the midfield, that's not going to matter. It doesn't matter if they win or lose, because he's still going to be getting the ball, he's still going to be getting contested possessions, and still going to be getting tackles. So
Yep.
I'm holding at least for another 2 to 3 weeks.
We're still on the Henny train.
Yeah, sorry, man. It's my fault. It's my fault. All right, now we've got 3 minutes. Let's just go through these last Twitch questions before we move on. All right, here we go. So we've got quite a few of them. We've got here. Swiss says Thursday night's performance just shows how good Alex Rance is. West Coast won without Gaff and Nick Nat. Tigers can't without Rance. I don't know about that. It's probably a little bit early to say that. For all the Pies' dominance, they're only 2 goals up 10 minutes into the last. Yeah, I know. I was packing myself.
And then what happened?
Them Sirens last week kept me awake on the long drive home. At the cost of swearing and shock every time it went off. Thanks, JR Stiff. Thanks, guys. Last Truck Killer said Collingwood had 2,045 SuperCoach points to Tigers 1,255. That's a smashing.
Absolutely.
That's an absolute smashing.
Can Stuart keep these scores up? Scores up is a fresh question. Sorry, Chris. Tom Stewart, no.
Zach Tui?
Tui's coming in,
Yeah.
100%, and I think they'll probably get him kicking out. So Stewart, great
Stewart
player.
still takes kick-outs, but he's not the number one
I think
kick-out.
he'll be about a 90 flat average. Like, he looked great last year. I think he's great. Australian. Awesome
He's got
player.
to be just outside of that top 10. Just
Yeah.
outside. You probably need to be averaging 95 to get top 10.
And the worst part was the D's had so many inside 50s for no score. They kept turning it over. The D's were a turnover merchant. They just kept bombing it into Stewart, and that's his forte. Literally, they just played into his strengths, which I don't think is going to happen every week. So,
Tatum SZN says Lloyd and Crisp are easily the best 2 SuperCoach defenders in my opinion. I'll tell you what, I think I underrated Crisp, and I think there's 2 reasons why. First of all, I didn't see this possession style played last year at Collingwood. They tried it a few times, and when they did, it worked. But I didn't think that they would do that this year. If they're going to continue that, you'd have to say Jack Crisp goes up in evaluations.
yeah, it could be a 95 plus. I just don't want to comment on him, Chris, because he is the steak knives in a deal that we would never get back.
That's true. I won't trade him until
actually,
at least
you know what? No,
last.
New philosophy. It doesn't matter about Jack Chris.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
He doesn't matter because he's not a premiership player.
Oh, okay. Sure thing, bro.
New philosophy. I need to think from a West
Coast.
Coast.
Who else isn't a premiership player? Anyone on Brisbane Lions list. Because we took away Dane Beams, who was a premiership.
It's okay. I'm gonna have this West Coast like perspective.
Too easy.
Let's move on.
All right. Sicily versus Degoe, league's #1 flog.
Well, Sicily.
Sicily's completely winning at the moment.
But anyway, strange free kick. Sick dog.
We've got a good siren volume. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for letting us know. Got to hold Heaney. Yep. Thanks, Struds. What to do with Callum Mills? Callum Mills.
I said, Callum Mills. Yeah.
Just got to get him. Get him.
Go
up if you can, or there's 2 people I would go down to or sideways to. It's either Williams, who by the way played forward this week, but we'll touch on that in GW West.
Don't even get me started.
Or Brodie Smith. Outside of that, I'd be going up to Lloyd or up to Whitfield or up to Crisp. Those are the 3.
See the bombers fly
up to never. Are we going to hear that song this year, you reckon?
Yeah, of course. They verse Gold Coast at some point.
I tipped him on my 8 too, so yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one before we get into some more questions, of course. We've got here Essendon versus Freo. Essendon St Kilda. Good timing.
This will be one of the quickest ones we'll actually.
Well, we might be able to wrap 2 into this one. Let's give it a whirl. I think the most shocking thing from my point of view is I did tip St Kilda, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad this early. So the first quarter and a half of football was arguably worse than any quarter and a half that they played last week. Just
the first quarter in general. I wanted to have a big snooze fest. I'm not even kidding you. I was actually waiting for the next game to come on.
Yeah.
I stuck through to half time, and then it sort of turned around, and then I went and watched. Who was next? It was.
I watched the whole game, but they were overlapping with someone. I'm sure of it. Geelong and Melbourne. Was it? No, I'm not sure. Anyway,
4:35.
the first thing I noticed was the effort and intensity for St Kilda was up from the get-go, and it was nowhere in existence for Essendon.
Port Carlton. That's what I watched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for all their failings, whenever they did get the ball and tried to move the ball forward, their ball movement was stagnant. When they got it out in the open, they made the wrong decisions moving forward with the ball. They would either kick over the head of someone they should have gone to, kick to enter the forward 50, but enter it on the edge of the 50, like 45 out, which doesn't help anyone.
It was so bad.
It was terrible.
The whole game, literally, for me, is summed up by Langford running off the bench.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It was just.
I actually laughed out loud on the couch. I'm sitting at home on my own.
Like
watching football.
I watched it. I was like, I could not believe. Where does the competitiveness come from? Like, I get it. He fronted up to his teammates and said, "This is the rationale of what I was thinking." I actually think he got told to come off, and he felt so much pressure that he had to come off that the single opportunity arose. He's like, "I must get off," and just left his opponent.
Dude, this literally happened to me when I was in under 8s.
Left the.
I did the same thing when I was 8 years old.
No, Chris, you would have had your armband on with your position.
No. This literally was... I think I may have even told this story on the podcast last year.
No,
I'm sorry.
I haven't heard it and I don't want to hear it.
So my dad, before the game started, said, whatever you do, make sure you listen to your coach today. Listen to your coach. I'm like, yeah, that's the one thing they took. I'm like, I'm going to listen to my coach, right? So I'm like running down the wing, right? And like in under 8s, so in Melbourne, there's none of this half field rubbish. You're playing full field under 8s. Right, so the scores at the end is like, it's like a women's AFL game. It's like 10-4, like if you're lucky, right? Anyway, so playing under 8s, full field, and I'm running down the wing, got no one on me for miles, and I'm just running down. I'm trying to bounce the ball, but you know, like you're 8, so it's like sometimes bouncing, sometimes not. And the coach and I didn't realize this at the time. He said, "Go, Chris," but I thought he said, "Come here, Chris." So I just like stopped, dropped the ball, and just went over to the coach. I went, "Yes, sir, coach." Like mid-game. So that's exactly what happened with Langford.
I'm so glad that this story didn't take 90 seconds.
That's longer than what I usually.
I actually feel for Dylan Shield. He
scoring well.
He actually put in a lot of effort the first 2 weeks, and he has gotten no effort in return from his teammates. Zach Merritt actually bounced back. What did he get? 108, 109?
Yeah, 108. Decent
108.
score.
Decent score, I think. Still underperformed a little bit, but I think he... Not racking up as much as he should. I think
why trade him?
Because I think Dylan Shield's getting more inside and Zach Merritt's getting a bit more outside, which suits him because he loves getting the outside ball. He's like the new Lockie Hunter, except Lockie Hunter 2.0. He gets more ball.
Well,
right?
careful, you might get a 1-star.
The Lockie Hunter 2.0. I get it. He's still cheap enough for me. I actually wouldn't get rid of Zach Merritt. I'd probably hold him because he's going to have some good games and he's still going to fluctuate his price. And then by that point, you could move him on at an influctuated price.
Can Zach Merritt from this round on to the end of the year
average 110?
110?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
What do you think his average is from here?
I don't know. I'm upset. I picked him in the second round in draft. I'm not gonna lie. Matt Crouch was my third round.
105. Because that's not good enough.
No.
105 is not good enough for a top 10 midfielder.
107, 108. I know, it's a cringe.
Is it worth a trade then? It's probably not worth a trade then. Because you can probably still get him at MA.
When Essendon turn their form around, maybe he'll score 110 for the last 4 rounds. Oh, I didn't even mean to do that. That's how bad it is. Anyway, no good. If I had Zach Merritt, what is he, like 120, 520k, you can't really do much with him.
540.
540? Oh, you can get a Dusty. Matt Crouch, if you can
it's
do
an
Matt
awkward
Crouch.
price point. Yeah,
if you can go to Matt Crouch.
Matt Crouch is the one.
That's the one. If you can
I wouldn't trade him still.
If you can afford 8k, I wouldn't mind Matt Crouch.
I still wouldn't trade him. Because here's my thinking is that, like, worst case scenario, if he averages 107 from here to the end of the year, the person you trade to has just as much chance at that price to average 107 for the rest of the year. So why would you trade him?
Yeah, true.
You're just burning a trade to have someone at M8 for the rest of the year.
Unless you hate him with passion. But if you are an Essendon supporter like Wally, then maybe you should keep him.
It's the same with Dusty. The thing with Dusty is he gets shut down 1 week. He had 109. This is same scoring pattern almost. Why would you trade someone who's... I mean, they might average 107, 108. What were you expecting? Were you expecting them to go 115? Because that was never going to happen. We had this conversation pre-season with Dusty. the year that he went 119, he won every award under the sun. He was the best player by an absolute mile.
I was still expecting
And still
Dusty
only
to
went
average around
119.
110. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, but-
107 and 108, they're still close to a top 10.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
So-
at 107, 108, you're not going to trade him.
No, because then otherwise you're going for a Trelaw for a 109. Like,
I don't get the whole purpose of trading is to get better players in your team. It's to trade your rookies out and get premiums in. Do not trade a premium that is still potentially going to average 107, 108 for the rest of the year.
correct.
But if you thought that they were going to average 115, then that's probably your error in thinking that, because it was never going to. They're not those players.
Correct. I think what's happening, Chris, is that people are a bit scared by the Billings and Hibbard scenario of the last year.
Yeah, I think
That's why.
I think Billings has burnt people that bad.
That
We're
they
going to
want-
call this the Billings rule.
Yeah.
The
Where-
round 2 trades
Where
is now the
we're
Billings
trying
trade.
to say, keep your premiums, and everyone's like, but Billings wasn't even a premium. He was like a breakout premium.
Yeah.
A hyped
Well,
premium.
what round did you trade out?
Hibbard was a premium.
Yeah.
And he's been, mind you, Hibbard's averaging 59.5. So bad. So bad. Absolutely
Isn't he
horrible.
making top 10 this year, though?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Um,
Get on that.
So, but what round did you trade out Billings last year?
Oh, basically about 2 weeks before he started averaging about 95 again.
Oh, so like just about the buy rounds?
Buy rounds. Anyway, can we talk about Gresham, please?
We can talk about Gresham
Because-
because he's playing basically all 70% mid-time, I think he is.
I
at the
feel
moment.
like Gresham has been highly undervalued, Chris, and we are rambling, even though this is a horrible game to comment on, but I
it's
feel Gresh.
The Gresh.
The Gresh, he's actually dominating, and
is.
someone dropped him in the draft league, which is... He's in my side because I got him off the waiver. Someone dropped him. My forward line in draft was deplorable. I picked up my
What people dropped Gresh for?
At
Who did
D3.
that?
At
Who
D3.
did that? I
I
need
don't
to
know.
have
At
a
D3, I had
stand word
Charlie.
with them.
At D3, I had Charlie Kernow, and then I had some horrible players, and then I end up with like Gresh and Lysette
So
and Tex
the
Walker
difference between
for free.
Gresh
So good.
and Billings is that Gresh is playing inside minutes. He's
Yep.
playing at centre bounce centre bounce attendances.
And kicking goals,
And,
which
well-
Billings can't do either.
Well, he kicks a lot of points.
He kicks a lot of points. We got to give him credit.
But he also is the guy that they get the ball into the hands of at the end of chains to either set up a goal or to kick the goal. So that's why I really like Gresh. I think he's basically Jordan De Guy, but shorter and faster. And he's moved into the midfield because they lack that talent in
Yes.
midfield at the Saints.
I'm with you.
Whereas
I
De
think
Goey, if he was in midfield, I think he'd be averaging these sort of numbers. But he's just
Yeah,
not.
to go in maybe later. They said once his fitness
He
gets
wants
up.
to,
so-
but it won't be this year.
No, they think later when he gets his fitness up, I think he'll work his way
Don't
in.
know about that.
Also want to touch on Jack Steele. He got 100 again, so he got 115 in his
Yep.
first, 100 in his second round. People are talking about trading him again. I don't know why this infuriates me. I'm like, mate,
It's because
he-
people picked him for a breakout, but he's
yeah,
only
but-
averaging what he averaged last year.
no, he averaged 95 last year.
Yeah, so
he's
he's-
averaging 107.5. I was like, man, he's averaging you 12 and a half points more than you paid for him. And you want to get rid of him. Why? Because he's averaging 107.5? It's like, that is the most stupid,
It's a bit silly.
fucked up logic I've ever heard in my life.
You know who I would be trading if I had him? Seb Ross.
Oh, Seb Ross, he looks horrible.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because
He
he's
looks horrible.
No, because he's not playing inside anymore. He's playing behind the ball off the halfback flank
I
most of
picked
the
him
time.
around before Jack Steele.
He's getting so much uncontested ball, it's ridiculous. Like,
I blame you.
oh, it's probably my fault. because
You
I've got him in my draft
you
league.
picked
in a
up
few of them.
Zorka. I had to pick up Seb Ross.
No, it's
And then you picked up Jack Steele.
fair call. Another one I want to touch on quickly is Jack Nunes, who's got a very conducive role to Supercoach.
He does.
He's basically.
You said he was going to be out of their side this year, Chris. You ripped on him so
I
hard.
still think he might be.
You ripped on him so hard.
So here's what benefits him. I'll
you said he
explain
was
it.
like the Goddard
He's
of
playing.
St Kilda.
He's playing. He is. He's worse. He's way worse. At least got to get in the target. So Nunes is playing on a wing, but he's either depending on the game, depending on the set play, the score, the game instance. He's either going behind the ball at the center bounces, so at that seventh defender, and then getting contested chop out in set marks or whatever, or he's going in front uncontested ball handball receive. Now his skill set is long kick to a contest because he can't hit a target to save his life, and that suits him perfectly because he just gets it and just kicks long to a contest.
Chris, I'm not listening because you've gone overtime.
Fair call. All right. Well, we've probably had enough. We probably went way too long on this game anyway.
No, I think
to
we
be
actually
fair.
spoke about other stuff that we wanted to talk about. To be honest,
You take me off target again.
Hear what you want to hear.
All right, we're going to go straight into the Port Adelaide Carlton game, and I suppose it's about time we touch on that man, Tommy Rockcliffe, hey?
Oh, no, it's Lyset. He's up 4%. Everyone's on the Lyset train, Chris.
No way.
Start the timer. Let's get this game going,
Let's
Chris.
start the timer then.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. This one actually.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
All right.
I'm only 8 years old, but I still kick your ass, Grandpa. So good.
You better shut your hole before I put a hole in that tent.
Anyway,
Alright.
let's talk about Scott Lycett because I think he actually is important.
He is
to
actually.
talk about.
Okay, so have you started the timer, Chris?
I have.
Wonderful.
Two things. First and foremost,
Don't
Andrew
interrupt me.
Phillips. I will talk when I want to talk. Andrew Phillips has been leaking ruck points hardcore.
Yep.
So who is Carlton playing this week? Do you know? Can you search that up for me?
Carlton.
Carlton.
Yeah, they're playing Sydney. So
So
Callum Sinclair.
Sinclair's going to go 120 plus this week,
Yeah, he's on my feet.
and I would put money on that. So can you bet on SuperCoach scores?
Sometimes
I might-
on some platforms, not Bet365 that I
Is
use, but I know
Neds?
some others.
Maybe Neds.
I don't know. We have a look.
Who knows?
Shout out Neds.
But honestly, Andrew Phillips just leaks ruck scores. Now I don't know. I think they play the way that he plays, or maybe it's the way Carlton are playing him at the moment. That I don't see Phillips directly on an opponent sometimes, so he might be drifting behind the ball or drifting in front, but they're just not. He's not following his man.
Chris, what are you doing Saturday night?
Going to the football with you.
No, I won double pass through Neds, just quietly. I tipped the Brisbane winning and margin, so I got two
nice.
double pass to the Lions game, so you could probably take my members pass this week, mate.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, anyway, sorry. Quick side note. No, you don't. No, unfortunate.
Anyway, so that, I mean, there's one, look, 167 is a fantastic score.
Yeah.
I'm not taking that away from him.
Huge.
But I will say that that is a much inflated score, and he has historically been an absolute maximum 80 averaging ruckman
88.
for
88,
how
West
long?
Coast, 88.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I actually took from this. I actually watched AFL 360. I posted it because Robbo said that Lockie Whitfield was in the Brisbane midfield, which was stupid as. But the coach Hinkley was actually saying that Lycett, he actually considers him more like an extra midfielder. He gets around the ground. He was so happy to come back to Port Adelaide that he's had a killer preseason. And I was like, oh, so he actually, it's kind of like a Grundy type where he gets around the ground really well. So I'm actually a little bit tempted. I think he could go okay. So I still don't think he'll be a top 10, but I think I'm actually giving him more credit than I had previously. So based on what Hinkley was talking about.
I mean,
But
he's a...
Charlie Dixon, you don't know what's going to happen when Charlie Dixon comes back. And Paddy Ryder, so...
Yeah. I mean,
Let's see.
here's the thing. So, is he a viable trade-in target right now, at this point in the season, with
right now-
two-game sample size?
Right now, I'd say no. After their first bye, I'd probably look to bring him in
That's
to
what
cover
I'm
my
thinking
ruck.
as well. So,
So, round 12.
if
after,
he can continue his form, and let's say he's averaging 93, 94,
Yeah, I could bring him in to cover the bye round.
100%. That's my plan.
Yeah, same
So,
here.
and they have the first bye,
Yes.
and here's the
Mo-
other
that-
option.
That's what my theory with most of the Port players, to be fair.
Yeah.
First
well,
bye.
the other option, this leads us to our next one. So, Westhoff.
Ugh.
So, I don't care about the people. By the way, if you're one of those persons that traded Brody
One of those
Grundy...
persons?
People.
Yes.
People that are living...
One of those peeps.
That traded Brody Grundy or Max Gawn to Justin Westhoff
Thank you.
and copped his 47.
Thank you.
I'll
He's
tell you
playing
what.
forward, though. He just couldn't get around it.
But however, here's the thing though. I don't think
here.
it's going to be bad because Jack Watt's going down. So Jack Watts got injured and he's out for the season. He actually broke his leg.
Yeah, and had a displacement in his ankle as well.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Bad. Like he
Ligaments.
needs surgery.
And broken,
he's out for the year.
broken fib or something.
So that's going to really impact their backline. Now, he was playing as a sort of third tall, loose defender, essentially, and taking a lot of marks and kicks. I think that goes to Westhoff. So I think they push Westhoff back. Charlie Dixon's due back in about 3 weeks. I think that they put Westhoff behind the ball, and they'll play Todd Marshall as the one out full forward. And then
You're right.
their whole forward structure is going to have to shift around basically Paddy Ryder and Todd Marshall. So really interesting the way that that's all panning out. If that does happen, Westhoff scores fantastic behind the ball.
Yeah, I'm hoping. He is hoping.
So they may have actually lucked out with the trade, even though they copped to 47 this week. I'm definitely going to be watching both Scott Lycett and Justin Westhoff to see who's going to be my number one trading target in that first week of the buys?
I'm with you. So Travis Boak got another 120 plus. He's actually started on fire. I know a lot of people are trying to trade him in as well. For me, again, I want to see a little bit more data when Wines comes back in, and to see just the dynamic of that midfield to see actually what happens.
Think about it. Wines comes in, Amon's out. I watched the Rockcliffe presser yesterday. So Rockcliffe had a presser, and there was 2 specific questions. Do you think Wines coming back in is going to change your role? And the first thing he says is, no, not really. And then the next question is, what about Carl Amon? How are you guys going to cope with that? It's like, well, I'm probably going to have to spend a bit more time on the wing as well as Will and Drew. And I was like, so your role is changing. So he just said that his role's not changing, but then his role is changing.
That's why you ask multiple questions,
I was
Chris.
like, okay.
Well, I don't actually mind that, even though he's not going to get as much contested
because he's a link
ball.
player anyway.
But he played like 90% time on ground. That's just not Rockcliffe.
No.
He's a freak at this point in time. No, he's a fitness freak.
But
that's why I like him.
What I think, though, is this. So, one person's going to have to play forward. If Westhoff is out, someone's playing forward. Who is that?
Rosie. Done. Next question.
No, but Rosie's already playing forward.
Yeah, so let him dominate.
So, but what I'm saying is there's going to be someone from the midfield that's going to... Because Sam Gray's coming in.
Motlop.
So Sam Gray's... But he's a small...
Yeah, Motlop.
Were you going to place Motlop out of the square?
No, you're going to put...
People you can play...
Paddy Ryder will be in the square.
Yeah, but we both know that teams these days, if they're playing 2 talls... So you got Todd Marshall and Paddy Ryder. They play the logos and they play one person out of the square.
Don't talk down to me and condescend me.
I'm just saying.
No. But
who's it going to be?
Teams play 2 talls.
So they could play Robbie Gray out of the square, which I'm not looking forward to.
Ooh.
So that could really impact me. They could play Travis Boak out of the square, or they could play Tom Rockcliffe out of the square.
Fair enough.
What I'm saying is they're all getting more forward time. If Westhoff goes behind the ball, they're all getting more forward time. So it's not good for basically any Port players. What I need is a sample size, and I don't have anything right now. So we need like 4, 5, 6 games to say, yep, for sure, Rockcliffe's going to be scoring this, Boak's going to be scoring this, Gray's going to be scoring this, and then you can go, yep, at the bye.
I can understand people trying to throw some money to get Rockcliffe or going down from, which seems to be the biggest thing in the world at this point in time, going from Dusty to a Rockcliffe because you get money.
Yep.
I've got a 5-prong midfield attack at this point in time, so it doesn't really concern me, but I'd rather try and... Even if I wait until round 12 or whatever it is, which is only like another... They would have to buy round 11. They have about 8 rounds or something rather since then. So even then, I'll probably pay, an extra 150k.
Round 12 is the first buy this year.
Yeah, okay. So I'll probably wait an extra 11 rounds then, or no, 10 rounds, and then I'll pay an extra 150k for Rockcliffe.
Yeah, he's not going to be that much more expensive. So, like, okay.
And I'm not
Worst
losing
case scenario,
points.
Rocky's 550, and he's a... in my opinion, there's no way he's averaging 120 as a must-have. No. I can't see that happening. So he's just another... Can he average the same amount as maybe a Matt Crouch? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I've already got Matt Crouch. I'm not going to go down to Rockcliff.
No.
It's just a waste of a trade.
Yeah. The only way I can see you going up is if you had someone like Cousins and a few of these other guys that were 200k, but then Cousins is now more valuable that a couple of their midfielders have gone down. So I don't see where you can find the cash.
Yeah.
To be fair.
I don't know. To me, if it suits your structure, you've got plenty of trades, and you're travelling okay.
Oh, I'm excited.
What I think about Rockcliffe is people are doing this. People who have had a really bad starting team, or let's say right now they're panicking because they're ranked 30,000.
They're clutching.
100%. They're just going, shit, I need to improve my team. This is a quick and easy fix.
He started so well, and he's so cheap.
Yeah.
But
what you got to realize is that people that are like in the top, say 10,000 or maybe top 15,000, because it's all pretty congested at the top anyway.
Probably don't really have him.
And are they going to trade to him? No, because they don't have him, or they do have him already.
I'll back like a Lockie Neal over him, 100%.
You started him, which is fine. If you started
him, awesome. You're getting exactly what you want. Which is,
perfect.
If I started him, I'd be loving life. But
or they didn't start him, and they've got a good enough midfield to cope without him, so they don't need him.
Yeah, for my theory, every trade you need to at least make 100 grand. At least.
Well, I think you'll make you that money, but again, you only realise that when you trade him out. So what you're saying is you're not just trading Rocky in.
For me, it would be a double trade.
You're trading Rocky
For me, it would be a double trade. So I need a $200,000.
So if you make sure that when you're thinking about Rocky, you're thinking about 2 trades, not 1. It's not 1 trade with Rocky.
I've heard so many people. I had someone compare Rockcliffe to Fife today.
But you started with Fife.
No, in general. But it was like, Rockcliffe's just like Fife, except Fife has injury issues.
Except Fife has injuries.
Yeah, except Fife is injury prone.
They're both injury prone.
I was like, Fife's been a premium forever.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and don't worry about it.
It's like watching people do cringeworthy stuff at the gym. I just don't comment. I swear to God. I just don't. I sit there.
You video them and put them on Lad Bible or something, don't you?
No, I think someone probably should have put them on AFL Nuffies. Not
All right. Now we do have. Wow. I think we might have to catch up on the chat a little bit later, but let's just say, Ice Truck Killer says, "I love point chasers. Keep burning them trades, fellas." Yep, that's happening.
Yeah,
It's
burn 'em
happening big time early, and I think it's panic trading.
How many trades are you looking at having left after this week?
30.
Me too.
I don't. Hey.
The only one I actually would consider is getting Darcy Moore for Collins because Darcy would play on field.
Yeah.
But then
What's
I'm
their
like,
break evens? They must be pretty close.
yeah, I don't know. I think Moore might get me more points on field. But then I'm like, do I really want to burn a trade just to get another guy that might
Burn
make
a trade and 50k to make the same amount of money.
to make the same amount of money,
And
and
maybe
then
get
I'll still have
30,
to
40
trade
points over
more
the
out
next 8
anyway. Like, yeah. So that's my
Honestly, Collins might be the first person you trade out.
yeah.
But he'll make you at least 150k. So
Maybe.
whatever.
We'll see.
He'll get you to 320 and then you can do whatever you want with him.
Yeah.
You know?
I know that's. I think I'll have 30 as well.
Yeah.
Currently got Steele in the upcoming games. Going to need him to tag, lowering his scoring output.
They don't necessarily need to use Steele to tag, but sometimes he's the best option for a head-to-head, which is a lot of the time you might think he's tagging, but he's actually just going head-to-head. And that's what Steele does.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily do it like a lockdown role.
And he still gets the ball, and
That's it.
if he's tagging or running with, he gets so many tackles anyway that his score is actually still pretty solid, and he doesn't need that much of the ball. So.
I mean, there's 4 of them, but he leads the league in tackles right now. He's had 17 tackles so far this year.
Yeah.
So there's him and there's Rory Sloane and a couple others that all share the tackle leading at the moment. So yeah,
he could break 200.
well, honestly, Steele's a great choice.
Tackling machine.
You shouldn't don't count out. It's too early in the piece to be counting out the mid price that you tried to back if you're doing
especially
that.
if you bought them at an average of 95.
Yeah. However,
Hold.
I mean,
He could be your last upgrade. It doesn't matter.
if you were dead set against it, even though I wouldn't recommend this, but the thing is that all these mid prices that people were speculatively picking, they've kind of performed. You know,
Yeah,
Steele's
except-
kind of performed, Brayshaw's kind of performed, Sheed's
Brad
performed,
Crouch,
Rockcliffe's
yeah.
performed,
Unless
Crouch
you're-
has kind of performed.
Unless you're in defence. And
Yeah.
it's Mills and McGrath and maybe
Right.
Heaney to an extent, but Heaney's still got an 80 odds, so he's okay.
Yeah, so people are seeing like these Rockcliffe just with these big numbers and just their rose-coloured glasses just go on, and so all of a sudden I need to get him in straight away.
What about Sheed?
Wait until this weekend when he bops an 80 because Robinson's tagging him like going out of fashion.
What about Dom Sheed? What about Dom Sheed?
Oh, we don't need to what about Dom Sheed anything.
His low is 100. He's going big.
He actually had a free kick on the siren to go back to 100. I loved it. Every second of it. It was fantastic. All right. Now, the last one I want to talk on about Port and Carlton before we move on, even though I know we're out of time.
Before we move on.
I just want to say to
Did
people...
the siren go?
No, yeah, the siren's gone.
No way.
So Sam Walsh, do not trade him.
No, don't trade him.
Do not trade him to Cousins. Do not trade him to Libba. Do not trade him at all. It's the silliest idea I've ever heard to trade out Sam Walsh.
Interesting, Newman and Simpson both actually only scored around the 80 odd, which was interesting. Normally, kind of, if Newman went big, Simpson goes small. Simpson goes big, Newman goes small. Additionally, as well, I think Gibbons actually started on fire and then actually slowed a lot, but still got a 56.
His DT was amazing. He's
Which
just
is
turnover merchant, unfortunately.
Awesome. And Charlie Kerner obviously got injured, which is going to suck for them majorly.
Don't trade Gibbons. Another one. Do not trade Gibbons
Don't trade
because
Gibbons.
he had a bit of a role change. And instead of in the pocket,
He's actually in the
he's on
midfield.
the half forward line and midfield. So do not trade him. yet.
Setterfield, though, did tag Rockcliffe in the second half, so he did only score a 50. But again, as a rookie, yes, I know he's more expensive slightly, but a 50, you'd take that. And he's not going to tag every week. Even then, they might see how things roll. So with Sydney, they might kind of give someone else a different job. But it isn't promising that he did have a taking role. And he couldn't find his own footy when he did that role. So you just don't get rid of him at this point. You watch him for a few more weeks, he'll still go up in price. And then if he is horrible, you get him out first. So, yeah, especially when like Kavara and stuff come back, then just move on. 100%. Yep.
All right, now moving on to the next footy match that we have here. We've got the old Geelong versus Melbourne, and this is about as one-sided of a contest as you could throw a stick at.
Yeah, one-sided. Melbourne got so many inside 50s and did nothing.
Yeah, which is a little bit... No, it's not surprising.
Have we stumbled?
They trade out their best forward player in Hogan and decided that, we don't need you. Mate, I tell you what, I picked this early in the preseason. I said,
Have we started?
"Oh, we should put this timer on."
Yeah, come on, Chris.
Okay, calm
You
down.
gotta put it on. The people want to see.
The people want to see.
I'm with you, except that they were the most scored side, so they scored the most points last year.
Yeah,
but they also leaked like a sieve. So Stephen May was in there, except an article came out being like, "Oh, he just did his normal preseason and get himself in half good shape," and then he rocks up to Melbourne after, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm actually like overweight and slow or whatever." He hasn't done his due diligence, so I think it was a big hard wake up call to the expectations at Melbourne. And he's now out, so I think that's a big loss at this point in time. I think he does give them a lot of security and stability in defence. And Hogan, obviously not there. They don't know how to play without him.
Yeah, and
They're just a bit disjointed. They're not in sync.
That's the biggest issue in my opinion, is that they're disconnected with their forward line at the moment. Now, I said that this, like, going into it, I said that Sam Wiedemann's not the answer. They really need an actual, like, another forward to complement Tom McDonald. Tom McDonald's a capable forward, but I don't think he's a star forward.
His average has been horrible, McDonald, too.
Yeah, and I've got him in like 4 draft
Yeah,
teams.
can't do it.
But I mean, the issue is he's better on the second defender. Now he's the best. Now he's the number 1 forward. Yeah, he's got to stand up.
Yeah.
If he doesn't stand up, their whole team structure falls apart.
If he doesn't stand up, Chris, he'll just cash that very expensive check every week.
Yeah, exactly right.
And wait another year for a forward.
So I don't know why they traded Hogan, apart from the fact, like, I know he wanted to go. Did he want to go?
Yeah, I think they kind of pushed him, but then he has off-field issues anyway. So probably for the culture of the club, you get rid of him. You take 2 first picks and you move on.
But
and you move on.
Trading him impacted their entire team structure. Yeah. And they didn't do anything to fix it. They didn't trade anyone in, apart from maybe Bruce.
I'll tell you what, they're getting so much ball, they'll sort it out.
Well, I think they need Bruce in their team. And sooner rather than later. I think it's quite obvious that they're really lacking.
But yeah, they got plenty of ball. Melbourne, Oliver went massive. What did he get? 140, 141?
141.
Brayshaw as well went 120. Gorn backed it up as well, so he went 116. So I think it was good to see him backing in it. And considering that they lost convincingly, I think they had so much ball, so much opportunity that these guys could have actually done better.
Yeah, I mean, Clayton Oliver was trying kind of a one-man band in there. Brayshaw did all right, don't get me wrong, 124, nothing to sneeze at, but Oliver was putting his head over the ball, clearing the ball, first touch clearances. Yeah, he's the perfect midfielder, man. Honestly. People who trade him out again,
I'm actually surprised how well Geelong's defence has been. A little bit more tests this week because
Lockie Henderson in for Henry.
Henry, yeah, I know. So Henry has been good, but then
he got injured.
I know, but you get rid of Henry, and then it's like, well, Lockie Henderson comes in, and he's a great stable horse.
Yeah.
So their defense is actually
it's just good timing because Lockie played in the twos, I think, because he's coming back from injury.
Yeah, he played a couple, and he couldn't break his way in really, which is funny, but. So I think he just provides that stability. So their depth, even Geelong, is crazy good. Dangerfield 154 went absolutely monster. He was going to be my VC, except I did. I kind of had to go Cripps. He only got 115, so I ended up writing it into Fife, who I was a bit worried about. Lucky he pulled his finger out in the last quarter. Tom Stewart again 120. So like I said previously, they just played into his hands. That was literally the best. Role that he could have played, and they just kept giving it to him.
Kicking it to him.
They kept giving it to him, so he played perfectly into his hands. And they kicked so many behinds. He's been taking kickouts because Lockie.
What do you think about?
Tui's not playing.
We chatted about it a little bit earlier, but Kelly's 111.
Yeah, Kelly 111. Even the week before that, he got for me 3 votes.
He looks you know what he does? He looks like lightning for a quarter, and then he fades out. And then he looks like lightning for a quarter and then he fades. Yeah. It's got I don't know if it's his tank or the attention he gets or what. I don't know what it is. But basically that was half a football plus a little smidge of extra.
And the week before that he pretty much got 3 votes for me and still only just got over 100. So
yeah, not for me though.
I don't know. Oh yeah, not for you. I think he's great. I think Tim Kelly is great, but I'm just a bit worried about his ceiling more than anything. Yeah. I want to see more 120s, 130s, 140s for me. Still very happy with how he's going. Dalhouse has been a surprise for me. Another 105. His pressure, kicking goals.
He also is equal on that ladder for most tackles of the season so far.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Playing out of the half-forward line. That's insane.
I know. That's his role, though. We knew his role, but we weren't expecting that many tackles.
However, I can't see that being sustained.
And they've won 2 games.
In the role, yeah.
And they've won 2 games.
Won them by how much, though? I mean, I don't know. I can't see that being sustained from a Dalhouse point of view. I don't think he's a terrible pick, but there's way more forwards I'd be picking in front of Dalhouse right now, even though I think he's like the 4th highest averaging forward or something like that right now.
At this point, but again, 2 wins. Interesting to note is Menangola 70, but he had a dream team of 94, so he just butchered it.
Yep,
74% time on ground, so he was up from the week before, but I think they're trying to work his way back in. So I know we have, I think I've seen a question, which would be on Facebook or Twitter, I think, saying, I have Menangola, do you recommend I trade him for Kelly? No
way.
Yeah, no way. So I think
you'll
still average
last
100
year,
odd.
Kelly had like 70 in the first 2 rounds, and then went bang,
and then Menangola went low, and then went big. So Menangola has the biggest ceiling, like
He's got a great ceiling.
one of the biggest ceilings for Geelong. So even if he started off like half mediocre, you still hold him because he's going to go 130.
Yeah. Now the other one I want to touch on is Constable, who won the Rising Star this week. So congratulations to Charlie. Chuka, as they call him, but
Chuk.
31 disposals and he only got 84 Supercoach.
Ooh,
is that? I'm pretty confident that's it. 31.
31. Yep. Yeah, and a goal.
And a lot of them were contested.
And 69% time on ground.
That could have easily been 110.
69% time on ground.
But they reckon that's because he's not fit enough.
Yeah.
So that's what the club have said. The club have said his body's not there yet.
His role's there, so
it
just means that they're not putting him forward and resting him forward. They're just taking him off and then putting him back on in the guts.
And on the Demon side of things, I mean, Petrarca 83. I mean, I don't know what to do with Petrarca anymore. If you traded in Salem, you'd be hating your life. You got a 75 the week after a big one.
Yeah,
I've never thought of him as a top 10 anything. Never ever.
Hibbert a 52.
Yep.
Even people that brought in a Kolajasny only got a 27, so he actually looked horrible. I actually think Kolajasny gets dropped.
Well, their backs all got dominated. So you have Lockhart, who, I mean, kicked that great goal, but that's about it. Literally, that's about it.
Kolajasny gets dropped. I think Stephen May's injured. I think Hoare comes back in.
So Hoare's got to come back in. And I don't think it's at all to do with Stephen May. I think Hoare's a better player than Kolajasny and Lockhart.
Well, yeah, they're leaking points.
They are, and they need another defender there to shore things up.
Yeah, don't get a guy from Gold Coast to stop points.
Fair enough.
The points keep leaking.
Anyway, so
I think that's.
I also think that Sam Frost is an absolute liability. He got caught holding the ball a couple of times. He's got no decision making skills. It's actually quite upsetting watching him play, but whatever. Again, I think Hall comes back in, but I don't think it has anything to do with Stephen May. I think it's the other defenders, and I think they're really going to shake things up after an 80-point loss. So
I think they're going to drop at least 3 players for me.
Oh yeah, I reckon too.
At least 3. Melbourne's going to say, nah, stuff ya. Especially Goodwin.
All right, let's go through some more questions here. We've got here we go. Blake121. Sorry if you answered this, I missed it. But what is trading Callum Mills a must? If Longmire's suggesting he will get more midfield time, why is it? Because that sounds to me more like he's basically one injury away from always being a defender. So the issue is that it's not necessarily about Mills.
No, he's too good. It's about the team.
It's about the team.
It's not about Supercoach.
Whereas they've basically said about Heaney, we want him playing in the midfield. But he's injured right now and can't. That's different.
Yeah.
However, having said that, regardless, Heaney can still score as a forward. It doesn't matter.
And again, if there's an injury in the forward line, correct. Yeah. Whereas Mills doesn't score as well as a defender.
Exactly. So so Heaney can get a 120 in the forward line, whereas Mills is going to get a 120 in defence. So
while he's holding the Zeret, no worries, mate.
Good work, mate.
Yeah, he was looking at trying to downgrade to Rocky and banking the cash, or burning 2 trades to get Treloar in. I was like, that's not a great idea.
And Strutter says average means nothing at this stage. It's been 2 games, so you need to be selecting based on role and potential, not average. 100% agree with you. Well done, Strutter.
Yep.
JR still says Rowan Marshall looked good in the JLT and great in his first game. Risky, but don't even touch Rowan Marshall with a 10-foot pole. As soon as Longer is back, he either goes forward or he's out of the team. Rowan Marshall is a bigger trap than Rockcliffe, and I'm telling you that right now. There's no way he holds his spot when Longer comes back. Absolutely none. Or at least doesn't play the same role.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that Longer comes back because then Callum Wilkie could maybe go behind the ball and actually get some points.
He's so passionate.
He's so passionate. Here we go. Ice Track Killer said on Tab Corp you can, so I'm guessing that's about betting on Supercoach scores. So
must be.
Very well done. All right. T-Man Hawk says probably same as Sheed with Gaff back in this week, and yes, that's a consideration. I wouldn't be touching Sheed either until we get a little bit more sample size of what his role's going to be.
Like JLT 1 and 2?
Yeah.
That kind of sample size, Chris?
Well, I think Gaff coming back in, the best thing about that, no, because all of the mids, we've said this like 4 or 5 times. You're just saying it to the... Anyway, so I think Yo is the one that benefits most from Gaff coming back in. Just so you know.
What, the Butcher?
Yeah, the Butcher. Yeah, because the reason why he's butchering the ball is because he's under so much pressure when he kicks it. Anyway, doesn't matter. All good. We've got Strud saying 30k is still top 18%. I don't know what that means, but okay. Must be talking to someone else in there. Also, keep in mind it was very wet in the Port versus Carlton and was very sloppy. Yes, it was. Strutter says, I'm 201 behind number 1 rank and at rank 515. Surely the gap between 515 and 20k is more than 50 points. Yeah, it would be probably 1 to 200, I'd say at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, not a whole heap though.
Yeah. Now, there's probably a really big gap between the guys in the top 1,000 to the, say, top 10,000.
Well, speaking of the next segue, Chris, with everything else, we are getting into the West Coast and GWS games. So
we are. Are we moving on?
Well, no, and we can keep answering these. I was just saying that the Dom Sheed comes into the next topic, which is wonderful.
Yeah. And then we had centre half Couch say he's 340 behind and ranked at 10k, so it's pretty close. It is very close to the top. I think there was a lot of cookie cutter teams like my team. I think my team's fairly cookie cutter.
Yeah, and mine as well, to be fair. Except the difference is little things like Gray
the structure's the same.
Gray versus Dunkley, Lockie Neal or
Which,
Oliver
by the way,
versus...
Gray's winning at the moment, just so you know.
Yes, I do know that. Thank you very much. But who do the Dogs have this week, Chris? The Suns.
Yes, and that's why Captain McRae
Yeah, me too.
is going to go nuts. Anyway, all good. Billings to Boke, yes, no. Jordan 17. I would say...
I don't mind it.
I don't hate it, but I wouldn't do it at this stage. You're not going to lose money. Boke's not going to go up too much. It's not going to be really worth it. Like, Boke's probably going to hold his price for a little bit. Billings isn't going to go down. It might even go up a bit. You don't need to. It's unless you're chasing points, unless you're really like poorly positioned, maybe, but I wouldn't do it. Then you trade out one player for Parker. Should I go after trade out Burgess or Bolter, or should I keep them both? Move Burgess down back and take Wilkie out.
It depends on who you're moving him down back for, but...
No, you would be moving him back for more, I would assume. That would be it.
Oh, okay, right. Parker, I think, would be great with his 80 and 80. So, I think you need Parker.
Professional, it's going to take longer for Bolter to make money because he's a week behind the cash bubble, and he's also scored an 18 in week 1, so in his first price cycle it'll be really bad.
Yeah, so he's at least 3 weeks?
So he's 3 weeks away from making you money, so I would say Bolter's the one that needs to go.
Yeah, Burgess actually had a pretty good game, but I think Bolter has more scoring potential, but in the long term. But yeah,
we haven't seen it yet.
Exactly, we haven't seen it, so I'm okay with that.
I would keep Burgess because that swing is really valuable. Week 1, I had him in the forward line. In the back line. Week 2, I had him in the forward line. And depending on matchups, will depend on who you can score on field. And I think that it could be really valuable moving towards the middle of the season. So keep him. Start Setterfield or Parker. I would start Setterfield over Parker, and I would try and loophole Parker if I could.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Rocketh plays Richmond and North next month. Not worried. Is pretty much a cash cow. Not really. He plays 3 of the top 4 sides in the next 5 weeks, and one of those, the other one is Brisbane, which I think they'll lock him down, and the other one's North, who I don't know if Jacobs will be back by then, but
no,
probably not.
I don't think so.
So he might go well in the North game. Martin to Rocky with a trade to gain the 160k. Again, I'm not on that train at all. I don't. You're literally just burning a trade for the sake of burning a trade, and you might want that trade back when they could essentially average the same.
Yeah, the only way I see it actually working is if you bank the 160k and then say Dusty Martin drops 160k, then it makes sense. But you don't know that Dusty Martin's going to go down to like 420k. So,
but Dusty's going to have those 140 games.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
It will happen. He will go back up in price.
I can't see a world in which Dusty doesn't average, say, around what he averaged last year at the very least. But I'm picking a 105 average, which is a little bit above that. So
he will go back up. And by that stage, you can then always change him as well.
Put a figure on what Rocky averages, disregarding injury. What is he averages here?
I don't know, 105, 106.
Something in there, right? So why are you trading Dusty to him then? Because it's going to be this. Like, doesn't make. That's what I mean. Doesn't
Because I'm not.
well, but no, I know you're not.
Yeah, I know.
You know, you're just wasting.
I
your
know.
trade.
People just see but I can get 160k, and then
But
I can then do
it's
something
not
with
one
that.
trade. It's two. If you're making 300k out of it, I would 100% do it.
Yeah.
But like, you'd have to be guaranteed that you're making 150 from the trade, and you're making 150 when you trade him again. And I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. So, anyway, thoughts on Bolter to Myers?
Oh, don't do that.
No, that's he's not going to make you enough cash. I think that's his job security's not great.
And there's so many guys from Geelong coming in that he could be one of the first out. I like him, but if you already have him,
he's
great.
scored well.
But he's not important to bring in.
He's not a must-have.
No.
No. And why do Mexican kids eat teammates? What? Why do Mexican kids eat tamales on Christmas so they can have something to unwrap?
Oh, jeez. Who's putting jokes on here? And I love jokes. The worse the better. But
it's fairly racial, by the way. So I'm not gonna laugh at that, but it is kind of funny.
okay, fair call. All right, Chris, we need to
moving
move
on. Now we've done with the Twitch chat there.
Yeah, thank
We
God.
can move on to the next one. All right, we've got West Coast and GWS, and look, I think GWS were pretty competitive in this game, but West Coast just ended up taking it by the horns in the end.
Yeah, it blew out, and
Yeah.
I don't think GWS took their chances when they had their
Nah,
chances. So
you're right.
it blew out, and it blew out late. I think they're pretty upset with themselves.
What's the one thing you took out of the game?
Caniglio got tagged.
But who do you think they should be tagging? Based on the game, did you watch the
Whitfield?
game? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, Whitfield's damaging, but
He was unmarked, running around on his own in the middle of the field, basically the entire game. It was ridiculous. I was like,
yeah,
is
you're
anyone
just
going to pay any attention
you're
to
just
it?
unhappy because you don't own him.
Yeah, that was also true.
That's all, that's very, very true.
But the more he does that, the more he pops up on other people's radars.
Yeah, I think you might just put an accountable role on Whitfield and then tag Caniglio, to be honest. I don't see much point in tagging Kelly because he's good inside and out. It's like, yeah, you don't tag a Dangerfield, but then you'll tag someone else that is damaging. So
You can't tag Danger anyway, so
well,
he's still going to kill you.
You put someone on Kelly, he'll just get contested ball. And then
It's like
if you
tagging,
kind of...
it's like tagging Patrick Cripps.
Yeah.
You can't really tag him. You might limit him to, say, 25 disposals with 20 contested possessions.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily win you the game.
No.
So, no, I think that was very interesting. Also, be wary of anyone that plays West Coast in the next month because Hutchings is actually doing a pretty good job. So,
Yeah.
he's probably up there for the best. Obviously
Tagger
Jacobs
in
is
the
up
comp.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
at
he's
this
won
point.
Well, he did
I
a good
think
job
he's-
last year.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He's been great at it, and he's fit enough, and he can win the ball. So,
The thing with that I noticed as well, Zach Williams still got a 95, but I couldn't believe it because he was played forward. He was playing out of the pocket.
yeah, can Green come back already? My
He
God.
played there because Green wasn't playing. Now, I'm really hoping that Green comes back as soon as possible because I think this week, again, he has to play forward. He played well.
So bad, though.
It's just
Yeah,
annoying.
he
It's
played well. It's
frustrating.
just annoying.
It does bode well for anyone who owns Lockie Whitfield for the next week at least. He'll still be probably playing off the half back line like he did this week.
It's just bad. Like, Finlayson plays defence.
I think Finlayson's a bit of a dud.
I think he's good for the team. I'm not going to lie.
No, I mean,
but
he's just like I don't know.
But you need Green back in, and yeah,
True.
that's just for me.
Hopper came a bit down to earth with an 84. I think Simpson got absolutely towed by Tommy Hickey. Tommy Hickey was the number 1 ranked player on the ground with 139 Supercoach. Managed to loophole in one field in Specky Cup.
You did not.
So good.
How do you even?
But I didn't need to because I was playing Matt Mercer. And by the way, if you're listening, Matt, which he probably isn't, but if you are listening, Matt, towed you up this week. Band's fresh. Anyway, and McGovern, so when they moved the ball forward, they literally were just kicking straight into McGovern's path, which was just ridiculous. Like, is that?
Yeah, you need to do what Brisbane did and try not to bomb it long, or have like 3 people hitting that contest to make sure it came to ground.
Pretty much.
So
He's just too good at positioning himself in the.
yeah, I thought Brisbane were really good actually trying to block out McGovern in that round.
Fair enough. In terms of the midfield, again, Dom Shee, I think he was pretty much lucky to get. Dom Shee didn't do much to get that 100, I tell you what. Like, he didn't do much. He sort of floated around, took the occasional uncontested mark, short kick, moved up. He rock-cliffed the shit out of his 100. What I mean by Rockcliffe is that, when Rockcliffe's playing well, what he does is he just floats in like he's not doing anything. Then he turns around and gets like this cheap, uncontested mark, turns around, short 20-metre kick to nut for no reason. Like, don't need to kick it 20 metres to that person because it doesn't do anything, but whatever. Like, gives you Supercoach points.
Just chips around.
That's
Well, the old
classic Rockcliffe.
he gets the old cheap ball out the back. Yeah, give me the ball. 20-minute chip.
In that
Give me the
game,
ball. 20-minute chip.
there was no one within 15 metres of Rockcliffe until halftime. He was 10 metres off a pack, just waiting for a cheap, easy handball out. It was a joke. Anyway, the only time he was next to a person was at a clearance situation. Tom Barris I was pretty impressed with, but that's not going to be something that he obviously turns over quite frequently. Jack Darling returned with a 90 with his game this week. First game back with Josh Kennedy.
Yes.
And as we know, last year when Josh Kennedy's in the team, Darling plays well.
Yep.
90s are just a taste, a titter.
Yeah, he could go absolutely monster.
He's going to explode in the next couple of weeks. So, outside of that, on the GWS side of things, I think if you had Taranto, you'd probably trade him. Ooh, nice little 78 there. Let's see what he's.
How's he to Shaw going versus Hurley though, Chris? That's what I want to know.
Actually, Hurley had a good week this week, but Shaw had a good week last week.
Yeah,
so
I think they're probably close.
We should check that out.
I think they're pretty close.
So Taranto, I think he had a decent week last week. What's his average? Your average score 95. It's not terrible. I mean, I'd put him at 100 to 105. So I mean, you probably don't need to trade him, but I could see the want to trade him at 480k when you've got Doma and Rockcliffe right there. So.
I'm just looking at averages, Chris. You carry on.
Fair enough. Jezza Cameron had a poor one, but obviously it's because the ball really never got down there. Heater had a 61. So Heater's now averaging average score 72.5.
That's horrible.
Let's move on to the next game.
Hurley's only averaging about 81, mind you. So he had like a 60 and 100.
They're basically both as dud as each other.
Yeah, you would not like them. If you had actually started both of those, you'd probably trade them as well.
All right. Well, let's move on to the North and Brisbane game. Your boys.
Reset.
Now you didn't.
Check the Twitch.
We will.
I didn't watch this. I actually watched the last 10 minutes. I sat there in my car, which was actually a nice change.
You had the football, didn't you?
I had the football. Yeah. I had coaching under 16s. Mind you, I've got a fresh match ball in the car now, Chris. Freshie. Only lasted.
Let's go for a kick tonight.
It's dark.
So there's lights. That's what lights are for.
Bend over, I'll have a kick. So I got a fresh match ball in the car, Chris. So it's only lasted an hour and a half or whatever it is on field. So happy days for me. And they're like, "Oh, do you want me to put this in a kit?" I was like, "No, I got this." I got 2 bags of footies in the car. So good.
That's awesome.
I did watch the last 8 minutes, and it was a nice change of scenery because normally I just sit in the car and cry. So I got to watch the last 8 to 10 minutes. Yeah.
The twos?
Oh, no.
No, you got smacked.
No. We were behind by about 45 points at half time, and then we ended up losing by about 48.
Good coaching.
About 48 points. So.
Oh, that's not too bad. You almost won the second half.
It's completely unrelated, but they were literally watching them. They all got ball hungry, so they're literally in their forward line,
rolling balls.
They're all going towards the contest, and then their players that have 3 players just sitting half a kick back, and then what would happen? Oh, we win the ball because we have everyone there, and then they just boop. Oh no, they got the ball and then kick it straight back in. I was like, what are you guys doing?
Did you just tell them that at half time?
Yeah, quarter time. I was like, you need to be accountable. Everyone they don't want to be accountable. They just want to look at the ball.
Ball watching.
Ball watch, or they want to go, I want to go over here, and their opponent's back there. I'm like, mate, what are you doing? Your opponent's back here.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
Maybe get a bit of structure into that. Anyway, so look, I did watch the game. I watched it from start to finish, and I had tips. Again, I tipped Brisbane.
Yes, of course, Mr. 8 out of 9.
Thank you very much. And they really came back with us, but they can score in bunches.
When I started watching, they actually started winning. So
first half, they McCluggage and Berry were just sputting it up. Yep. They weren't really playing how they played last week.
I think North really tried to shut it down a lot too. Yeah. They didn't want an outside run game. They wanted to make it contested and short.
I don't know why. It's like Brisbane didn't realise when they started the game, or they didn't have a plan to lock down any midfielders for North.
Yeah, Aaron Hall
and Jared Pollock both went insane. They both had as many positions as they liked, kicking to each other, running down the wing. It looked like Mo Salah out there. Like, it was stupid. Like, there was no accountability. Cunnington was killing them on the inside because his contested game was off the charts.
Yeah, he went nuts.
And they just sort of went, okay, well, midfield versus midfield. Well, Lockie Neal versus Cunnington. Our midfielders will outdo them. And it just sort of once they locked down Pollock and Hall,
they definitely locked down Hall.
It completely switched the game, and their inside game was winning, and they weren't able to spread quite nearly as well as they were trying to in the first half. So I thought Brisbane played really well. Lockie Neal again, what a jet. This is the game where the scores froze at 3/4 time.
Unlucky. Lockie Neal broke it.
Yeah, Lockie Neal was on 102 at 3/4 time, and he had 15 disposals in the last quarter, and it only registered him 38 points. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like a 150, 160, 170, but...
Should have been. He got a lot of clearances out of that too.
Could have been a 160. He had a shot on goal from 30 metres out, snap on goal from a clearance. So he got, it was a first touch possession, clearance, kick, and then it was a turnover because there was a guy in the goal square that took the mark, but it was going straight through. Yeah. So if he got that through, that would have been, another 15 points, maybe 20 points just for that kick.
Yeah, it would have been huge.
Because, it's a swing, yeah. Anyway, so I think Lockie Neal is the second highest rated midfielder right now behind Nathan Fyfe, and he's the most reliable midfielder in the competition. So, in terms of games played and the amount of time...
No, McRae would have to be better than those two, surely.
No, in terms of history of scoring.
History. Okay, I thought you meant this year.
He's had 3 years of 110 plus, and he's only missed one game in those 3 years.
Fair call.
So, in terms of games played, scoring patterns, absolutely everything, Lockie Neal is absolutely killing it. It's even better. He's the main midfielder now in that group. Yeah. The difference was that at Freo, he'd be the main midfielder, and then Fyfe will come back and be the second midfielder. And then he'd be the main midfielder, and then Fyfe will come back and be the second midfielder. Now he's at Brisbane. He is the man.
He's the man.
I
told you. He's
it's a Neil show.
I did say he was the Titch of 2019.
The trade of the week of this, if you're dead set on trading a Merritt or trading a Dusty, don't go down to Rocky. Go up to Neil. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I already have Neil.
So but I would go to one of those top 5, 100%. Or even if you want to take a big risk, I'd go from Dustin Martin up to a Josh Kelly, who is in no one's team. It's a risk because he's coming. No, but it's a risk because he's coming back from injury. It's a massive risk. However,
it's just as much risk as going on Rocky.
However, no one owns him.
Yeah.
No one owns Josh Kelly because he's been injured for 2 rounds. So if you want to risk, I'd be going Josh Kelly based on the fact that no one has him.
Check out when they run the games because he beats up on the weaker teams.
Who, Josh Kelly?
No, GWS. When's their run?
Not until the second half.
Second half of the season. So, you don't really
most of my GWS guys, I'm actually pegged for the second half of the season because it opens up big time. It's actually not too bad, though. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Most of it's second half.
Daniel Rich is one of the top defenders of the year so far.
After round 6. Remember, I think we pegged it. GWS after round 6.
So, you got a few rounds to have a look.
Yep.
Daniel Rich is averaging 112 from defence. Taking a lot of kickouts. I tried
to get him, too. I should have 2 weeks ago.
It's going all right. Hugh McCluggage, again, super impressed with Hugh McCluggage, averaging 108.5. God, he's averaging more than half the midfielders on a list.
Don't talk to me.
I love Hugh McCluggage. I think he's a fantastic player. He's an absolute jet.
People league.
Sometimes he bites off a little bit more than he can chew, but he's all right. And Jared Berry, the other really impressive one, hit 91. So he had a 50-point second half after being on 39, I think, at halftime. And he's now averaging 103.9. So I tipped Berry this year to average about 95. And I tipped McCluggage, I don't know where he's going to go, but I tipped him around about the same, maybe a little bit less than Berry. I think Berry's probably got a little bit more legs.
I actually think GWS could go big, Chris. So they versus Richmond this week, obviously Geelong next week.
Yep.
Then it's Fremantle, Sydney, Saints, Hawks, Carlton, and then Melbourne Suns. Hawks obviously now depleted.
That's
Richmond.
I want Josh Kelly and I want him yesterday. All right, now before we get off this game, let's just quickly go back and check on the Twitch. So we've got here...
Racist jokes too. I have Mundy on field and Ridley on bench. I don't have Parker, McCarthy, Kelly or Lloyd. Is it too risky to have Parker on field?
No, it's not risky.
To enable getting in Lloyd? I'd love Lloyd in my side.
It's not terrible. I mean, the one thing about Parker is that I feel that there is like a 30 or 40 coming.
Oh, no.
Now, I don't know when that's going to be, but I feel like it could happen. So, Jordan, it's a risk-reward.
Jordan's saying that Williams actually played forward in JLT as well. I mean, no, in the trial game. Versus
No, he did, but he was switching back.
Green?
No, Williams.
No, I know, but there was no Green.
Yeah,
in
no
that
Green.
side. No, okay.
No.
Well, I'm okay.
Yeah, so that's probably what they were trialing. Oh, well, we don't have Green. What are we going to do with our
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Don't like
but
it.
he did that in the JLT too for like 10 minutes until he got taken off.
Yeah, don't like it.
I don't know. I don't like it either. Here we go. Ballsy move. Thoughts on money down to Lincoln McCarthy and having 417.
Don't do Lincoln McCarthy. I think he's great, but they've won 2 games and he's still only averaging 86 with kicking 6 goals or something like that. So I would not go him. And
He needs goals.
injury history, the biggest ever. So
Massive risk.
Massive
Absolutely
risk. And
huge.
when they start losing, what's he going to score? 50? Like, I think his fluctuations will be huge. I like him. I think he provides so much value to the team. Awesome player, and everyone gets around him because it's a great story.
Yep.
Even though he's cheap, I still wouldn't bring it in. And even then, you're burning a trade to get in a guy for 260k. You might as well have Darcy Moore. And if you have Darcy Moore, then you don't need a Lincoln McCarthy.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I would look at other forward rookies available. If there's none, if you've already got everyone and you've got a Moore as well, I would look to go up, not down. That's what I would do.
Yep.
All
right, sweet.
Yeah. Josh Kelly hurt Whitfield's score. I don't think so.
I think Whitfield will go. He's had surprising.
Whitfield is good. Oh no, Cameron's going to hurt Whitfield's score.
Yeah.
If they had a full complement, he's playing on a wing.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's averaging 95.
And he's had a few centre bounces and playing a bit more guts. So I think he will go a little bit more outside than he has with Kelly being out of the side. So, all right, sweet. I think
and
we can
the
move
last
on.
one is: Am I nuts to take Marshall next week for Gibbons? Meaning I can swing Setterfield to my midfield. Yes, 100% you're nuts. Do not take Raul Marshall. He will burn you harder than anyone that can burn you. Massive trap. As soon as Long is back in the team, he gets out of the ruck position, either pushes forward or is not in the first team.
And who's he getting out? Gibbons, who's going to make a quick 100k without even having to score over a 59.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. So Marshall would be my... Nope.
No,
don't do it.
Don't do it. Keep your
and
trades.
Black Knight says, big if Brisbane could be 8-0. Only tough games versus Port and Collingwood. They're not going to be 8-0 because they're playing Pies at the Gabba, where they get rolled every single time we go there. Am I right or am I right? You know what? By the way,
Do you know the last time?
This week, is it next week that we play you guys?
Yeah, Easter weekend.
So
You gotta
that's
get
Full Kit Wanker.
Full Kit Wanker.
Guys, you got to get ready for this.
Yep.
We're going live on Twitch from our phone.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Full
fantastic.
Kit Wanker. This is going to be the funniest thing ever.
Anyway,
It's going to be better than me wearing a West Coast jersey.
there we go. Let's get on to the next game. Let's restart that timer and get on to the
Can
next
we just
game.
have the big O? What great 5 minutes he had, though, just quietly.
Who?
Oscar.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah, 3 marks. It was
Dude,
great.
3 contested marks and 2 goals won.
Yeah, huge.
Oh, dude, turn the game.
Big
Big
time to turn
overs,
the game.
fantastic.
The next game, Hawthorn versus the Dogs.
Yep.
I actually watched a little bit of this game.
I watched the end of it, but because I was watching the I think this was on the overlapping with the Brisbane game.
No, I watched Brisbane, and then
Or-
I think this game was on just after.
What was it overlap? It was definitely
Actually, no,
overlapping
it did
with something.
overlap. It did overlap because I was watching it and the Hawks were winning, and I was laughing
Yeah.
because you tipped the Dogs, and I was like, ha ha ha!
I did
and
tip
then
the Dogs.
especially, Hawks were winning by like 5 goals in the last quarter, and I thought life was great.
Yeah, and they turned to 8-goal win. It was 8-goal last
They
quarter.
kicked
or
9
something,
goals to 1
Yeah.
in the last quarter and absolutely rolled them big time, 106 to 87. Interesting, funny thing out of this game, Caleb Daniel absolutely rolled again in that halfback flank. I don't know what's happening. Bailey Williams was out. Probably didn't matter too much round 1 anyway. JJ is out.
Yep.
So what's going to happen when they come back in? I know some people are flagging him being a top. I know, like
Top 6 forward.
Pistol top 6. He said 6, not top 10, top 6 forward.
Well, at the
Which-
moment is the top 3, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's not going to sustain it. It's Caleb Daniels. Did you see how exposed he got?
I'm
They're
not
not
hating the
going.
pick.
They're not going to put JJ.
Here's the thing. Is anyone going to, why do you need to train? Only people that are training Heaney and looking for, a unique. I wouldn't trade a unique in at this point. You got 3,
Caleb Daniel
defenders.
won't over. Caleb
forwards.
Daniel won't average over 90.
Oh, I don't know about that.
He won't average
I think
over
he
90.
might average 95-ish.
He's
He'll be
not,
on the edge of the
not a
10.
top 10. No way.
You reckon?
JJ Bevo number 1. JJ back in. Williams.
Nah, you're right.
And did you see once they have a better complement, do you think they're going to put
Well,
Daniel? Did you see how
Dunkley
much
played terrible in the midfield last week, which means McLean's
Yeah.
coming in this week and Dunkley's going forward, right? Bevo logic. You just got really angry all of a sudden, didn't you?
No. Anyway, so look, he's great. The role is great, but I think
Show us
that
your
role's
McLean.
going to change.
Do you know McLean outscored Dunkley this week?
Yeah, I know. He kicked some goals. They won a game. Big whoop. Dunkley also had 16 centre bounces, so his role's great at this point. He just didn't do well, Chris.
I go get it, but
Hey, it's okay.
Dunkley's still
I'll be the first one to gloat when Robbie.
shit pick. shit pick.
I'll be the first one to gloat when Robbie Gray has his first 40.
Disposals.
No,
First
40 score.
40 score.
Robbie
Dude, they're
Gray.
playing Carlton this week. He's going 140. Guaranteed.
Who? Dunkley?
No, Robbie Gray.
They played
Port
Carlton last
Adelaide.
week.
No, who are they playing this week? Port Adelaide.
Brisbane.
Oh, he's going 140 for sure.
Nah, not even.
6 goals. Boom. You heard it here first.
Nah, not
Playing out of full forward, Westhoff behind the ball, mate. He's going to kick 6. Bang, 140. Boom.
Nah, Robbie Gray's going to disappear like Robbie Gray does. And they've won 2 games in a row. And what's he averaging? Like 100 flat?
Pretty,
102?
like 98.
Yeah, exactly. So don't even talk to me. Wait for Robbie
Still,
Gray's first 40.
still like top 6 forwards right
Robbie
now.
Gray's
Whatever.
first 40.
You're
Anyway.
real butthurt about the whole Dunkley versus Gray thing, aren't you?
Not
Did we
even.
put money on that?
I want them both in it. No, we didn't.
We should have.
We should have.
Oh, anyway, let's get back on topic.
Kick your ass.
Now, so I mean, watching the game, the Bulldogs dominated basically the
whole game.
The
They
first
basically-
2 quarters at least.
Yeah, and then the
And
third,
the third
quarter
was a little bit.
Yeah, Hawthorn ended up getting a bit of a roll on. But
Yeah.
most of it was like literally, the Dogs were like, oh, okay, they dominated so much of the ball, but then
Yeah.
Hawks would just go, oh, and get the goal.
Well, Sicily was intercepting everything that he could on his way to straight to an 81 because
Yeah, he gives away a
he
free
gave
kick.
away so many free kicks.
He gives away the
God,
gives away the
dude.
free kick, and then he abuses the umpire, and then gives away another free
That
kick.
was so hilarious when, like, tough shot on an angle, like, don't get me wrong, was like caught on the goal line, and it's got a tough, like, snapshot for a goal, and he just swears at the umpire right in front of the camera. Like, everyone picks it up, he's like, nah, 50, mate, don't talk to me like that. Puts him right in front. Like, basically, they could have had a chance, but no, we're just going to nail
What's even
that.
better
in
is
the coffin.
A free kick, which then results in a goal, and then B, a 50-metre penalty, which results in a
I'm
goal.
just glad that happened when I'm not owning Sicily.
Yeah,
What's
100%.
Sicily's break even right now?
It'd have to be
Because
pretty
he
good.
had, 100 and then an 81, so he's probably going down. Let's have
Sick
a look.
dog. Where is he?
His break even's 150.
Okay, so
And average is 90.5. So he's probably going to go down quite a bit of cash. What's
Yeah,
his
that's fair.
projected change if he hits a 90.5 is 11k. So he'll go down to 559.
oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Gunston again, 110. Been proven. He's not in many sides as well, which is typical Gunston, to be fair.
Classic Gunston.
Yeah, he could be a great option at some point. So
Yeah.
if you have him, you'd be pretty happy because he has been performing.
A lot of people have Jaeger O'Meara,
Yeah, there's actually
And-
quite a few. 104.
but
But for
104.
30 disposals and a goal, you'd expect
Classic
more than a
O'Meara.
104.
Classic O'Meara.
Well, he's 122 in fantasy, so yeah, I don't get it. Cousins is probably the most interesting one to note. End up with a 92. Didn't do much at all until Shields went off the field injured. Now Burgoyne is as well out, so if you have him,
And they've been listed at 3
Awesome.
to 4 with the hamstring.
yeah, if you have him, awesome. Like, you wouldn't get rid of him. He didn't set the world on fire in the first 2 rounds. However, now he probably should actually score a bit better for the next month. I think you're laughing if you have him. We had a few people in our chat say, hey, like, do we need to get this guy in? No, you don't need to get him in because you have to burn a trade to get him in, and he's still only
Agreed.
going to make cash. So if you have him, awesome. Don't move him on. Keep him for now. Whereas if you don't, he's not essential because you could just keep one of your guys at 117k.
Yeah.
That's still going to make you 100k. So don't stress it.
Now, I know that the Hawks said that Wingard will be playing sort of a Cyril role, which is, he'll get some
I don't think- I
CBAs,
don't
but
think
he'll
they-
play forward.
I think he might for the
What
first
happens
week
now?
for the first week or two, but they need him in the midfield.
They're going to need him in the midfield for the
that's-
next 4
that's-
weeks. And he's playing this week,
Oh,
apparently.
you think Josh Kelly coming in as risk number 1? Risk number 2 is bringing in Chad Wingard this week.
Yeah.
If
That-
you don't like
massive.
Heaney, bring in Chad Wingard, who's going to play midfield for me. So,
So if you're, again,
That's risky.
If you're dead set on losing, on
Both.
getting rid of Heaney,
both risky.
maybe take a punt on Chad
Yeah,
Wingard.
and then look, if you're going by that logic, trade Wingard in, watch him for 2 weeks, and then trade him as well, and just burn 2 trades. And if you don't like that, get rid of Dusty because you don't like the price change. Bring in Josh Kelly. watch him for 2
It's
weeks.
AFL fantasy, isn't it?
Watch
Aren't we
him.
We got unlimited trades.
You can watch him for 2
Two
weeks.
trades every week.
He won't change price, and if you don't like him, if he spuds it up, then move him on.
Everybody's doing it.
Whoop de fucking do.
Yeah, I mean, it's
do
all
it.
about fun, right?
Yeah, I actually don't mind that. Chris, I don't mind that strategy. You can watch him for 2 weeks and then move him
ditch
on.
him.
Yeah.
Just get rid of him.
Josh Kelly's 620,000, so you might as well.
Just get into it.
Can't get rid of him.
Anyway, so look, the Bond again, 97. I'm not too impressed with that, but
No,
2 people we want to talk about. Tom Liberatore,
huge
he overscored though because of that goal.
goal. Yeah.
That goal
But-
probably gave him
well-
another 15 points that he probably didn't deserve.
No, it doesn't matter though, Chris, because if you own him, he is going jacked up in price because of
He's
a 128.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going jacked. Again, if you have him, awesome. I don't think he's essential to bring in.
Nah.
But proved to those, I think, 28 disposals the week before,
Yep.
and this week he got 28 disposals with a goal. See the difference in...
Yeah, 50-point difference.
Yeah, he got like
Massive
an
swing.
80 and then he got a 128. So,
His
huge.
break even's negative 29. He's definitely going to be making you cash.
Yep.
But unfortunately, let's say he hits 100. He's only going to go up 22k. It's going to be a slow burn.
That's a bit crap.
Well,
Well, until the week after
it's
that,
because
he'll earn more.
it's because of the 75 and his rolling average. So after next week, then he'll
He will
probably
go.
a
He'll
little
go
bit
jacked
further.
after that.
So if you're expecting a massive price hit up from just trading in Libba for 1 week, it's not going to work.
I think McRae's great. Played 88% time on ground. He's playing so much time on ground. I think he'll go massive against the Suns, his bunny side. I think someone posted, 7 rounds. His last 7 rounds against the Suns, his average is 130.
Yeah.
So that's my captain choice.
Easiest captain choice of the round. Is
Yeah, and even
Jack
Fife
McRae.
was the easiest one for last week, and he still got like a 124, and that was on a bad round. So,
Well, and Bose took him to the cleaners, so.
he just sat there and looked at it. He did nothing.
Look, Jack McRae, again, if you don't have him, or if you thought that he wasn't going to be the midfielder that he was last year, you're wrong. You've just made an error. The problem is you can't really get him in there. So you kind of got to ride the wave until you can get enough cash to upgrade someone. Because his break even is only 140. He could easily hit that this week. So if he...
Yeah.
And you got to remember, the way that SuperCoach works is that the magic number that they use to calculate the value of a player goes down every week for, say, the first 8 or 9 weeks. So the longer he stays at, say, a 130 average, the less chance that he has of dropping down quickly. The earlier in the season that they have bad scores,
Yeah, the better.
the better it is for people trying to get him in. But if they end up hitting that break even early, you got no chance of getting him during the season.
You're going to be paying high sixes.
It's not like
For a
exactly
while.
forever.
Yeah.
Like he's going to have to pull out. I mean, even if he pulls out 100, he's probably only going to go down maybe 10k.
Yeah.
Like
I think
far out,
McRae,
man.
with the way McRae started, and especially considering, have you seen who they have coming up, Chris? It's amazing. Which
I
is
know.
well, it's the reason
I know.
it's the reason I started him. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we actually spoke about it, and I was like, the Dogs. I thought their first few rounds were actually pretty hard, and he's already still averaging so great. Whereas after this, I mean, they verse the Suns this week, and then they have this awesome little bunny run, which then follows it up with another bunny run coming up. So and
was
that's
funny,
why
like-
I was thinking hold Libba
Yeah.
earlier on because he did well.
I turned it over at, like, say, I think there was like halfway through the second quarter. Sorry. I turned it on halfway through the second quarter, and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen McRae anywhere. And someone said, oh, he's had a knock to the ankle. And I was like, oh, is he not on the field? And he's like, no, he's still there. He's had 14 disposals. And I'm like, oh, okay, so he's playing fine then. Like, he just moved to the half-forward flank for a little bit.
Must be fine.
Man, he's
okay,
just
so
a
then
jet.
Collingwood next week after the Suns. That's probably their harder one. Then they verse Carlton.
Yep.
So the Suns, Collingwood, Carlton. Then they play Fremantle. So again, not another too interesting side. Richmond's obviously harder. Brisbane after that. So Bunny side. He always scores well against Brisbane.
Yeah, he does.
So absolutely monster. And then a couple ones. So you got Geelong, North. Where are they? Is probably the
West
better
Coast.
question. West Coast. Okay, so you're looking at about at least 60% of those games are actually pretty good for them.
Maybe
So,
even more. Because,
yeah,
I mean, Hutchings tag is probably the one
Well, that's the reason I got him in
right
there.
before the bye. So,
and that's why I got Carlton in there because
Yeah.
they versus the Suns pretty early as well. I think not this week, but the week after.
Yeah.
Cripps could go 170 and then be blown out of price.
Agreed.
So that's the reason I got in McRae.
all right, let's go through this Twitch chat before we move on to the next round.
Sicily will be delicious in 3 weeks. I like. What did Stonesy say? Someone liked
Jesus,
it.
we've got quite a lot here to
Josh
get through.
Bruce. I don't even want to read that.
Oh, by the way, Josh Bruce's mark. Can we just pause for a moment? That's got to be mark of the year.
Has to be. It's
Holy
like a
McJesus.
360 rotation.
It was basically Andrew Walker rotating on someone's head, but he's 100 kilos heavier.
I know. What does he
Like,
have? What would you
bro.
if you didn't win? What would you have to do? Literally, like pop off a couple of sparklers and some bloody
There's some fireworks that go off at the exact same time in the background.
I
While
know.
you're like, dude, that was an insane mark.
No, that was great.
Oh, I watched
He
that.
just sat there
I watched
too.
that. I was watching that live. My Ash's parents were downstairs, and he was talking to me, and I was watching the TV but listening to him.
And you're,
And I went,
"Whoa!"
"What the fuck just happened?" Like, I was just like, "Holy McJesus!" It was massive.
What day was this game? I was driving. that game.
Oh, yeah?
And then I heard...
So you were listening.
Yeah,
to
I was
the
like
commentary.
driving and listening because I like the commentary better than obviously the radio. So I was sitting
Yeah.
there and I was like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, huh? And literally, I think I was pulled over at the lights. And I was like, had a glimpse. I was like, oh, it's
Dude,
absolutely ridiculous.
absolutely
Show me 100 times. And
stupid.
I think it's 2 weeks. Heaney, Bang, and then Josh Bruce. Absolutely monster. So let's skim through these, shall we?
All right. So Ando says I'm coming up from Melbourne. What to Brisbane? If you are,
Shout us out.
Hit us up,
Ando,
mate.
for sure.
There's a couple of guys that are coming to the Lions game. We might be able to actually meet up with. So we might have I don't know if you want to do a meet and greet or something.
Lions versus who?
Collingwood.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. Let's go to the Piney.
So we might do it if anyone is heading there. We're going to
the
do a
Piney.
meet and greet at the Piney.
Yep, Full Kit Wanker. You can watch him live in Full Kit Wanker. That'll be so great. We're gonna like Facebook Live with some fans.
Jesus, I've got to get my boots ready. All right, Swiss says every chance the Hawks got their isolated Daniel on a tool.
Oh, so good. Yeah, they isolated Daniel. That was the best thing ever. Jetpack.
That was pretty funny.
Oh man, I lost.
They both had a bit of a chuckle.
It was so good. I think Gunston or someone else after that, maybe. Also, quickly to note, Scrimshaw actually did quite well. Very happy with Scrimshaw. So, he actually looked pretty good.
Swizz says Danger, Heaney, Kelly, Dunkley, Robbie Gray, Westhoff, Smith, and Hawkins. Who else can be top 6 forwards out of this group?
Really? You're putting in Smith in that group? Devon? Really? Westhoff? Really?
He still plays a mid-roll. I think he might still get there somehow.
Hasn't looked at.
It looks terrible, doesn't he?
He relies on tackles. He's not getting...
Jack Darling can also get there. Who else can get there? Probably Boak is the other one.
Yeah.
I reckon Darling and Boak are the other two that you probably haven't mentioned.
Okay.
Jack Collins, I think Gunston has a strong shot. He's always a strong shot. Always.
Took time off Supercoach due to mental health issues as a result of last week. How crazy is Heaney?
Fair enough. Do I bite the Goldie bullet? Oh, he's got gold. Stonesy's got Goldie.
I blame the mental health issues. Stonesy, mate, we know you take the piss a lot, so I don't know.
I actually think you got to trade Goldie.
I don't know if I actually approve of this content.
Do you have Gordon Goldie or Grundy and Goldie? Because that is a big thing. Because I think it.
Look, I think the bigger issue is Stonesy is just waving around mental health like a lot of the AFL players, and I don't approve, Chris. I mean, if he's actually having issues, then like Stonesy, I'd like to put my arm around you and give you a nice cup of Joe,
just like Ben
a
likes to put his arm around me.
a nice cup of Joe with a lovely Supercoach Insider mug.
That would be good.
It would be good. A good
Come
cup
up
of
to
Joe.
the Brisbane game, bro.
If you are feeling it, mate. If you're feeling it, if the Black Dogs gotcha, mate, I'm all with you.
Yeah. Sicily will be delicious in 3 weeks. Yes, he will be, but I probably don't have enough money to get there.
Not in 3 weeks.
Dogs versus Suns at Etihad. How many points could we be looking at for their mids? Oh man, I don't even want to know.
McRae could go 150 easy.
However, we said this about Fife last week, didn't we?
He did and he didn't. So
I mean,
I think McRae actually
pulled his finger out.
McRae's more of a workhorse.
3/4 time.
McRae's more of a workhorse.
He's more of an accumulator.
Fife can just turn it on whenever he wants.
Yep. McRae 180 on the Suns last year. Yeah, that's right, Jordan. Swizzy, McRae's last week versus the Sun is a 160 average.
Oh, so good.
But so this is what I mean. If you're not, so let's skip captain's corner this week because it's got to be vice captain danger. If you don't vice captain danger this week, you could get real burned because everyone has danger, and it's the most obvious VC selection. So if you don't vice captain,
and he goes big,
I think he's got like a 145 average against the Crows.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm VCing him.
So
I'm
100%. You have to VC danger.
I'm danger into McRae.
And then I would captain McRae.
The only reason if I wasn't going to is if I VC'd Grundy over Hickey.
I don't think you're ever going to captain someone this week because I think the VC is so important, and I think he probably goes 140, 150 that you're going to have to take it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or I can VC Grundy over Hickey. Instead of Danger, VC Grundy, and then take McRae. That's the only other second option to me.
T-Man Hawk says, I like Seasman's goal, but it wasn't top 3 of the round. Yeah, I can't believe that wasn't top 3.
That's ludicrous. That is literally, that's worse than Danahow, and I'm not going to lie.
That is how, out of touch the AFL is with the fans.
Yeah.
That is how far it is. Yeah. Like ask any fan what the best goal was.
You ask the Adelaide fans, and they will tell you that it's all Victorian bloody bias.
That's just the
100% cannot see and fathom how that actually happened. So,
who is the best value forward under 400k? Warple, Matheson, Marshall, etc. Not including Darcy Moore.
Matheson.
Best value forward is William.
Why the hell is Matheson in that conversation? He's only good for draft. Do not consider. Warple possibly,
I don't
but I don't
mind
like any of
Warple,
them.
but I wouldn't trade to Warple.
I'd actually say Darcy Moore because he can make you more cash.
He said we're excluding Darcy Moore. No, Willem Drew's the best
excluding?
value one.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because he's averaging 95 and he's 123k. That's the best value.
Yeah, Warple maybe, but I don't like him either. So there you go.
I don't mind Warple, but I think he averages 87, 88. And I think that if you trading as someone in at that price, at that price, you've just got to have a premium. So that's why I wouldn't touch him. I don't think he's going to be top 10. Someone says, so Mount Moorstars says, I'm VCing Lloyd into McRae and I don't have Danger. Yeah, that's tough. How do you not have Danger? That's real tough. Yeah, Lloyd into McRae's fine. I don't think Lloyd's going to go massive anyway, but Lloyd into McRae. I'd probably just stick with go with a real outlandish VC then. Go with someone that could go 150 plus. I'd probably just stick with a McRae captain because that's the best thing. So someone like a Lloyd who could go 170 on a week, 1 week of the year might be a good actual result. Swizzy says, would you consider VC Oliver versus Bombers or Cogs versus Tigers? Maybe both, but I wouldn't consider them if I had Danger at all. Not a chance. And the last one, Jack Collins says, if you have Gorn Goldie combo and Mundy in the forward line, would you double trade Goldie and Mundy? Yes, I probably would. And I'd probably go Mundy, in that situation, I'd go Mundy down to someone and Goldie up to, so what would you need to do? Oh, Jesus. Mundy to, I think you'd have to go, say Mundy to Warp or something like that, and then Goldie up to Gorn or something like that. Yeah, so that's pretty
All right,
sucky.
let's move on. Also, Chris, I just want to tell you quickly, there's a candle on in your bedroom and your missus is in the bath. So I think I've come over at the wrong time.
She just likes lighting candles.
But possibly the right time because...
She just likes lighting candles.
Mate, I nearly busted in there. Not even kidding you. I went to the toilet and I nearly was like...
I'd be okay with it.
Really?
Sharing is caring.
Oh, wow.
No,
well, look, Chris,
last night it was like 12 o'clock or 1 a.m. and she's like, if that candle doesn't go out soon, can you blow it out before we go to bed? I'm like, yeah.
You're only meant to have a couple.
Okay.
Chris, I'm greedy, so I'm happy to share yours, but not share mine. Typical.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So
Last
maybe
game
I think
of
we
the
need to
round.
hurry up, Chris, because I think you might be missing out on something. Just quietly.
No, that never happens. Anyway, so
yes, let's move on.
Last game. Let's move on to Gold Coast versus Freo.
Please.
Now, I did tip Freo, so I was a little bit upset that they.
Well, of course
didn't
you tipped
win.
Freo. They beat North by like 80 points. So and
However,
it's Gold Coast. I'm happy Gold Coast
I
won.
almost tipped Gold Coast.
I went Gold Coast, not tipping, but I actually was going for them
Can we
late
just
in the game.
say, straight off the bat, they're not as bad as everyone thought they were going to be.
No, they lost by 1 point, and now they've won a game. So kudos to them. I think they have had a great preseason. I actually think they're working together as a unit. And also, can I just say that they have more wins than Melbourne and Essendon right now?
And probably more wins than Essendon for the whole year, so that's good.
Nah. Let's not go there. But no, I am very happy
I
with
just
them.
like rolling up there since
But I
the
think it's come on the back of some of the young talent. I think Bose has actually taken the next step.
Dave Swallow.
Dave Swallow went massive.
Dude, what's he averaging? He got 140 this week. Let's have a look at what he's averaging, because that guy, I tell you what,
He went big.
all of a sudden, tell you about captain's goals, averaging 113.
Yeah.
Look, if you have him in draft, you tell you what, you're laughing. You wouldn't be trading to him, but I tell you what,
No.
he's playing well.
He looked great.
The other one is Jack Bose, who's absolutely, he dominated five.
And Jack Martin actually linked up quite well around the ground.
He did.
Probably had one of his best scores in a long time.
Yeah.
So, look, I think if you got them, you're great. I think Collins with his big intercept mark at the end, that's what they brought him in for. So that was amazing.
I watched something on the couch that I was a little bit intrigued with, because and I kind of agree with them. So in that last passage of play, there was a clear 50-metre penalty that should have gone to Freo.
I agree. I saw that live, and I was like, ooh.
I didn't realise, because I've seen this a lot in other games this last couple of rounds, where they've sort of laxed on that, where, you know, if someone's running past, it's a 50-metre last year, right?
Yeah.
Bang.
Oh, so many.
They've really laxed on it, because in the whole last round, I was like 50. I could spot 5 or 6 during the round.
I spotted a couple.
Yeah, and that's just from me watching with on the telecast, not being at the ground.
And actually seeing someone run close in that protected zone.
So, have they relaxed on the rule, or is the rule changed? Like
The rule hasn't changed.
I didn't think it did.
No,
So they've relaxed the rule.
It'll put now that it's been under the spotlight. It'll probably be the rule of the round.
The rule of the round, yeah.
Rule of the round, even though they don't do that. But,
And there was some high contact in the on a Fremantle player when the ball was coming in, not from Collins. It was from a player behind. But I don't know. I kind of think that Fremantle probably didn't deserve to win. Gold Coast kicked like 19 behinds or something stupid, didn't they? 7 goals, 19. So they had 8 more scoring shots than Freo and only won by 3 points.
Yeah.
So
they looked a lot better.
Gold Coast were the better team of the night, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I still actually think best on ground was probably Brad Hill, to be fair. Even though Gold Coast won.
Yeah, he was.
Brad Hill was just not checked at all. He was absolutely running rampant.
And he's averaging something stupid as well.
Huge. 118 maybe? It's huge.
Yeah, 120.5.
Yeah, like he's
going nuts.
But here's the thing though, those guys are so quick and damaging with the extra room. He was just absolutely running off tap.
Yeah.
So some guys that are fit...
you can't catch him.
No.
You're not running after him.
No.
Which I thought was like, good luck there.
Yeah, so I think guys that are super fit and quick could actually have a really good impact in this game, which is why I think Petrotelli, if he actually gets a better role, or maybe not every game, he might get you a couple of 30s and 40s and whatever, but I'm expecting one game where he might just absolutely go off tap if the role was there. But those types of players can break it open.
That's true.
And that's a big difference, I think. So, and even Brad Scott on 360 was saying that he loves the rule. He was actually on the committee that implemented with the rule changes, and he said, I love the rule. He goes, I just didn't think I'd be on the bad side of it so soon, Yeah. So contested ball, 100%.
I'd also like to say, before I move forward, Alex Sexton's doing his best Jordan Ngo role and playing a really good 6'2".
Sexton's always been great. He's
6'2" full forward that leads at the ball.
I've been impressed with Sexton for the last 2 years, except he's just never been consistent.
Yeah.
He looks great, and you're like, oh wow, this guy, should I pick up this guy in draft? And then he just spuds it up. Whereas now he's kicked.
He's a shitter Jordan Ngo.
Well, he's kicked 8 goals in 2 rounds, and they've come within 1 point and they've won a game.
Yeah.
So how many of these guys are going to do well when Gold Coast actually nothing works well? Maybe they're trying a few things and everything's gelling now, but then some other team will come up with a strategy, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, "Fuck, we haven't dealt with this at training." And then they get flogged by 70 points. It's going to happen at some point.
I mean, as we said last week in the podcast, there's been sort of a massive, there wasn't very many scores from kickouts because the focus hugely in the preseason was, okay, how do we defend kickouts? Not how do we score from them.
No.
How are we going to defend from kickouts?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, we can just score normally, but if we can stop other people scoring from kickouts.
100%, because coaches don't give a shit about scoring, really. What they care about is ball movement from defence. That's what really scores points. Ball movement when you have a center clearance is really easy. It's get the ball forward. Get it into the hot spot.
Yeah,
30
although
minutes from goal.
teams are now spending a bit more time analysing and training the centre bounce because it is so pivotal as to which way it goes.
Again, I watched it on the couch the other night. It was bloody hilarious.
I'm saying it's like a thumbnail between whether the clearance goes your way or whether it goes the other way.
No, they were saying, so there's that last clearance between us, second last clearance, centre clearance, between Brisbane and North Melbourne, and Sean Higgins is on the attacking side of the Zorko, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Zorko's on goal side. And obviously, so Brisbane win the tap, goes straight back to Lachie Neale, he handballs out, and then Dane Zorko is on the attacking side, just running straight into the 50.
That was a great handball by Neale too. Bang, the up and loft.
Guys, well, he won 4 clearances in a row.
Yeah, huge.
So, but I kind of and they were like, I couldn't understand why Sean Higgins is in defensive side and 6'6".
No, but they were saying Brad Scott was saying that
usually they'd structure up behind them.
No, but not only that. But I think because the JLT and they actually got on quite a run of goals in the JLT and came back maybe against Port or someone like that. I think some of these players are starting to get a bit excited because they can get that clearance. So the North were being very attacking because they got excited on the possibilities of the 6'6".
Agreed.
Whereas now they got so excited being like, we can get these clearances,
but they lost it.
Yeah.
So it's a roll of dice.
They were too attacking.
Yeah.
They were too attacking. They were
it's
too
a roll
offensive.
Of dice, but in a clearance that can decide or win a game.
Yeah.
I think it was strange.
I'm with you, but that was pretty much really all I took out from that game, really. I mean, that 5 should have gone a lot bigger and just kind of coasted like he
the
wasn't
third
interested.
quarter, he had like 10 points. I think he scored for the whole quarter.
Shoot, it was horrible.
He looked like he was
but
not wanting to be there.
It was literally his best impression of Dustin Martin, except he actually still scored a 120. So, but no,
last quarter he actually turned up.
Oh, he pulled up.
That last 10 minutes of the last quarter.
Well, you know
he was
why?
like, "Holy
Because
shit, we're gonna
you know
lose this
why?
game."
Because the game was in the balance, and then before that, he was like, "Oh yeah, like we're winning, or looks like we're gonna win." He's just waiting for someone else to do it, so he wasn't worried. 10 minutes to go, he's like, "Oh crap, this game's on the line." Pulls his finger out, and then actually starts trying to impact the contest.
I agree.
And he's been criticised this week multiple times about his poor work rate. So I actually expect Fife to actually pull his finger out a little bit more now.
I don't know, but I'm glad I don't own him. And
Why?
it's not because he's not the number one midfielder, like he is. He's currently the number one midfielder in the game. I just think, again, it's the same reason why I don't have Rockcliffe at the start of the season. I didn't want to burn a trade with him later in the season. So hopefully that doesn't burn me. I've got Neil, who's number 2, and he's almost a pod now.
I think Fife will hurt you.
I've got the other 4. I've got the other big 4. I've got Neil, Clayton Oliver, Jack McCrae, Patrick Cripps. So
yeah, I think it will hurt you, just quietly.
well,
The reason I wanted to start Fife is because, again, I didn't want to burn a trade to bring him in. So it's the same risk. So I'm going to start with him if he loses, and I'm actually in a great position right now because I haven't had to use any trades to correct my side so far. Touch wood.
Yeah.
But as in, my rookies are pretty
You've got the
good.
rookies.
My premiums are going well. So therefore, I'm
look,
actually in a great
if we
position.
leave you with
for
anything,
that.
If we leave you with anything today, it's this: don't trade just because you need to trade because it's fun trading. Trade because you need to, you've got to correct something in your side this week.
Yeah.
If
Something
you
that's
don't need to,
something
don't trade.
diabolical.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if your hair was grey and you wanted to, trade it, then trade it.
Trade
right?
it,
It's
trade it right
diabolical. It is absolutely fucking diabolical. But
It's a
don't
bit of
trade just
it's a bit
because.
of shambozzle
Don't
right now, isn't it?
trade just because you want the luxury and the look of it. Like, trade because it's diabolical.
All right, now before we head off, we're just going to go through these last Twitch questions here. Hey lads, what do you think about Yo? 2 subpar games now, trade or keep?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one because he's been tagged in both games.
And yeah, exactly. And he's had like 20 clangers, like 11 and 9 or something.
I think
it's
he comes back.
So bad.
Again,
So do I.
What does Yo? What does Yo average the last 2 games? What's Yo averaging from round 3 to round 22?
I still don't think he's top 10 though. You were more optimistic, but I don't think he's top 10.
I think he's top 10 from now to the end of the year.
I don't.
I think Gaff coming in really helps him.
Still, I don't. You need him to average 110 still from now.
Oh, I mean,
Like, I think he could average
the
still
issue
around...
is, of course, if you take that punt and say, I'm going to stick with him for a couple of weeks, he's
Yeah.
probably going to lose 50, 60k in the next couple
and
of
you're going to be
weeks.
stuck with him.
Yeah.
It'll be the Dustin Martin of last year. Just saying.
So I can understand where you're coming from. I would say if you had Yo, which is I think not many people do, the difference in price that you can benefit to go down to say Matt Crouch.
Yeah, Matt Crouch maybe. I think if you have money, go up.
Oh yeah.
If you have money, go
Yeah.
up. But if you don't have the money, then I'm almost inclined to say hold instead of trade because then you're just, again, you're 50-50 on whether they will be a top 10 like Matt Crouch. Hopefully he will.
Yeah, I mean,
but
again,
it's still 50-50. If you can go to the top 6 or 5, so the top 5.
go to guys that are going to average you 115 plus.
If you can go to the top 5 guys, if
go
you don't
nuts.
have one of them, yes. If you can't, then I think it's a bit more like 50-50, horses for courses.
I agree.
You might as well hold instead of get rid of him because...
If you can go up, go
Yeah.
up.
Otherwise, you might as well go 1 down, 1 up, and then get him to the older premium. Anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed. Good question though. I really like that
Yeah, I
question.
do like that.
Aussie Gamer 231 says, any news whether Hoare is back? We haven't got confirmed news,
Not till
but
tomorrow night.
I'd say
we assume.
I'd say it's fairly likely. Yeah, we won't know till 6:25 tomorrow night. So, all right. Mount Moorstar says the right time. Don't cut his lunch. Maybe she wants a baby. What? I don't even know.
No! Don't cut your lunch. Is in your missus.
I'm
being here, Chris, is cutting your lunch. Is what he's saying. I feel you.
Thanks,
but
bro. Thanks, bro.
maybe instead of cutting your lunch, we'll just make it a double-decker sandwich.
True. Mount Moorstar says new rules could help Brad Hill, who'll only go 105. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be top 10.
Nah.
Can't
Brad
trade
Hill will not be top.
Sexton in a good team. Yeah, that would be good to watch.
That would have been good to watch, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fozzie says,
The Foster.
finish my work tonight. What did I miss? Well, the whole podcast, but you can go back and rewatch on Twitch.
Yes.
We'll have it uploaded on YouTube within the next hour. So
yep, and then I'll be taking that home to do my editing tonight. So
cool.
If we can get out of here, that'd be great, Chris.
Sexton currently on top of the Coleman after round 2. Sounds like as far we know the winner, Jack Rewalt's out for a few weeks. Roughhead and Buddy not on top of the list. Yeah, of course, because they haven't played. Can Jack Martin average 90 plus? He's shown us that he has the potential to average close to that. Probably can average 90 plus.
Jack Martin?
Yeah.
No.
He's just.
I think he will do well. I think he'll actually add value to next year when he actually gets straight out to Essendon. Although he might not want to go. He might not want to go there just yet. So.
Very cool.
No, I think he'll 88 at best. I think Jack Martin. I don't think he looks great, but I think he's not consistent. So. Yeah.
And Strata says, who are the top 8 potentials in the midfield at this stage? I don't think it's changed too much from our top 10 preseason predictions, to be completely honest.
No, pretty much.
The only ones that have changed are like the fringe players at 1-10.
Yeah, like Matt Crouch looks like he's going in. Bontempelli might be top 10 at best. Possibly not.
Well, I think that if he plays in midfield, he's definitely top 10.
Yeah, I think it's hit and go. So I actually think Treloar's got pretty good odds at this point in time to actually go top 10. So.
But outside that, the top 5 aren't changing. The top 6 probably don't change. So you're talking about Josh Kelly, Clayton Oliver, Nathan Fife, McRae. Who else do we have in there?
Put in Cripps and Neil and
Cripps,
Josh Kelly,
Neil,
Caniglio.
Josh Kelly, Caniglio, Treloar, Bont.
Yeah,
that's pretty much your 10.
Yeah.
Outside of that, again,
I think that's
at the back end of that 10, there's probably a few that can be that you might make top 10, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's about it. All right, Chris, it's nearly 9:30, so that's 9 teams in 9 games in 90 minutes is blown out.
It's blowing out. I told
it's about
you.
2.5 hours.
We've got to go 9 teams in 5 minutes, I think we do there. 9 games in 5 minutes.
By the time you read everybody's comments, which we love, PS, there's still 28 viewers on here, so that's great. I'd like to see the average throughout the night. So, yes, 2 hours, 20 minutes. Let's wrap it up. Thank you very much. As we've said, we've already kind of covered our captains and stuff anyway. So, I think if you're not going VC, Grundy or Goldie.
Yep.
Goldie, no. Dangerfield or Grundy would be the best VCs straight into McRae. If you don't have McRae, I actually don't mind so much the VC Danger into Grundy. Not as bad, but Grundy, you expect him to still do well, I feel. So
I also don't mind Gawn or Oliver as captain choices if you need to as well.
Who are they playing this week? Essendon. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
I actually think Oliver could
Bellchambers leaks points to
Oliver could go big. Yeah, 100%. I am with you there, Chris. But thank you very much for tuning in, staying with us. For those that are paying in online, thank you and enjoy. So we'll get this up as soon as we can.
And just quickly, if you do want to donate to us, they're just below here on our channel. You can donate to us. There's a donation one. Go straight to our channel and you can hit up our Streamlabs donation.
Yeah, especially even if one out of the 30 online Twitch followers right now wants to shout us some beers, that'd be amazing. I mean, if you go to the pub, you shout people beers and we will literally shout you out and we will show you whatever you purchase. And, you know, we like to drink. So
and everybody's a winner.
Yeah, or if you have some connections at a brewery, then again, why have you not contacted us sooner?
And we can totally be sponsored by some people. By the way, we just hit 1,500 people on Twitter, which is awesome. And we're about
nearly 1,000 on
50 followers. Facebook. Yeah, 50 followers shy on Facebook from 1,000. When that happens, we'll have a big Facebook 1,000 party.
Yes. So anyway, thanks again for twitching in. And for following us. So we do apologise for the long podcast, but as you can see, it's a very complex time.
It just drags it out
it's a very complex time. People have a lot of questions, and there's so much to cover. So look, if you want the longer ones and you want to stick with that, we're happy to do that. If you want to shorten it up, please do give us feedback because I am all for trying to keep things within 90 minutes. So again, we just ramble. So thanks again. Until next time. Peace.
Peace.
#blessed.